Chapter 991. Shao Qian smiled bitterly to himself. The Yan clan, Jiang clan, and Lin clan really put in a lot of effort to kill him. The situation before Shao Qian was extremely dangerous, even more horrifying than the obstruction in Thousand Dragon City. However, the only consolation was that only Emperor Wu could bring out the full might of the Emperor-grade secret treasures. As a great Grand Master level martial sage, one could only bring out a tenth of the Emperor-grade secret treasure's strength at best. The burden on one's body was similarly great. Every time one used it, they would have to pay a huge price. But even so, it was extremely difficult to obtain a chance of survival. Shao Qian quickly analyzed the situation. Based on the information he obtained, he had a vague plan to deal with this situation. A tenth of the Emperor-grade secret treasure's strength was equal to a strike from the blue-robed Emperor. Using 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures in succession was equivalent to receiving 3 moves from a quasi-emperor before he could hope for a chance of survival. Shao Qian, back then, you snatched our secret treasures and even dared to boast shamelessly. Today, we will bury you here and make you pay the true price. The first elders of the 3 clans each stood on one side. The 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures sealed off this space, restraining Shao Qian's freedom wings. With the Emperor-grade secret treasures locked onto him, it would be very difficult to leave. Yan Shixi smiled coldly, wanting to see the despair on Shao Qian's face after being forced into a dead end. Unfortunately, Yan Shixi was disappointed. Aside from the initial shock of getting knocked back, Shao Qian did not show any panic or despair on his face. Brother Yan, just ignore him. Later, he will beg for mercy. I don't believe that he can survive after spending so much effort in the Thousand Dragon Arrow formation, the Lin clan scion said with a smile. When the Lin clan scion saw the situation, he smiled. The rightmost Jiang clan scion said coldly, as long as the 3 first elders find an opening, they will attack at lightning speed. Within 3 moves, he will become a cripple. At that time, we can torture him however we want. Inside the primal chaos domain, the 3 first elders held the Emperor-grade secret treasures in their hands. He had wanted to kill Shao Qian, but in the end, not only had he been beaten into a sorry state, he had even lost his secret treasure. This was a great humiliation. Now that he had forced Shao Qian into a situation of certain death, he could not help but feel proud. The purple talisman containing a great perfection saber soul hovered above Shao Qian's head. He did his best to resist the might and pressure from the Emperor-grade secret treasure, not letting himself reveal any openings. The 3 old men showed astonished expressions. The Profoundine umbrella, the tortoise spirit shield, and the 10,000 beast cauldron were 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures. Although the 3 of them could bring out only a tenth of their might, when they worked together, their might and pressure could kill some Grand Master level martial sages. But now, after such a long time, under the heavy pressure, Shao Qian was actually still able to maintain his original state of mind, not revealing any flaws at all. Faintly, one could even see a sharpness and an intense competitive spirit. Don't hold back. We have to cripple this brat with a single blow. Otherwise, there will be trouble this time. The Yan clan old man snorted coldly, and the heavenly sage laws in his body poured into the Profoundine umbrella above his head. The Profoundine umbrella immediately unfurled, and the scarlet Profoundine flame started burning even more intensely. Strands of cold chi flowed towards Shao Qian from all directions. As long as a strand of it entered, it would immediately turn into a cold poison, inflicting severe damage on Shao Qian. The first elders of the Jiang clan and Lin clan quickly followed behind. The shield formed by the simple and unadorned tortoise shell flickered with dense talisman scripts. When the might and pressure arrived, space became like water, squeezing into all sorts of shapes. The Lin clan's 10,000 beast cauldron gave off an even more oppressive might. The ferocious roars of various ancient mutated beasts came from the cauldron. The roars rose and fell like endless waves, rumbling deafeningly. With the pressure from the 3, Shao Qian clearly could not contend with them with just the immortal will of thunder and the great perfection saber soul. Shao Qian's long hair and white robes fluttered about. Sweat dripped off his forehead. Cracks appeared on his skin, and blood flowed out. The ground under Xiao Chen's feet instantly cracked. The ground moved, and the sky spun. It was like the universe was overturning. Seeing Xiao Chen gradually unable to hold out, his aura weakening, and many small openings appearing, the three old men revealed expressions of joy on their strained faces. Soon. In just a while, Xiao Chen's aura would completely crumble. At that time, they would not need to use too much of the Emperor-grade secret treasure's energy to cripple Xiao Chen. After all, they would have to pay a significant price to bring out even a tenth of the Emperor-grade secret treasure's energy. If they could reduce the price, they would definitely do their best. The expressions on the faces of Yan Shixi and the heir of the Jiang and Lin clans slowly turned interesting. All they needed was a lightning-quick strike, and the name, Xiao Chen, would disappear from the world. Suddenly, Xiao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood, and his aura crumbled. The purple lightning talisman above his head turned into motes of electric light flying everywhere. Attack! The Yan clan first elder's eyes lit up. He stretched out his hand and grasped the handle of the umbrella. His figure flashed, and the profoundine umbrella flew towards Xiao Chen. A sinister wind blew, giving off an overwhelming chill. Before the profoundine umbrella arrived, a layer of frost already covered Xiao Chen's body. His black hair turned snow-white, and his lips turned bloodless. When the Jiang clan and Lin clan first elders saw the situation, they hesitated and stopped attacking. Based on Xiao Chen's situation, with his aura crumbling and the cold poison invading him, he could not retaliate at all. There was no need for them to attack. In that case, there was no need to use the Emperor-grade secret treasures and damage their physical bodies for nothing. However, the two did not notice a trace of mockery flash on Xiao Chen's bloodless face. Xiao Chen smiled to himself. I made the right bet. I knew that this group of people would not be fearless. Bang! With a flip of Xiao Chen's hand, the lunar shadow saber appeared. When the profoundine umbrella was less than 10 meters away, he drew it at lightning speed. In that instant, a dazzling light froze Xiao Chen's figure. The frost on his body instantly melted, and the scattered electricity gathered back together. The immortal will of thunder that contained the great perfection saber soul turned into a purple lightning talisman and reappeared above Xiao Chen's head. The instant Xiao Chen drew his saber, his aura that had already crumbled gathered back together, becoming even stronger. A sharp light surged out, clashing with the Emperor-grade secret treasure. By relying on the might of lunar shadow, Xiao Chen suppressed the Emperor-grade secret treasure that the other party could only bring out a portion of its power. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the scene seemed to freeze. There was a crisp sound, and the Yan clan first elder's profoundine umbrella was knocked out of his hand by Xiao Chen's saber strike. Another saber light lit up. It was Xiao Chen's left foot kicking out at nearly the same time, landing heavily on the Yan clan first elder's chest. Blood spurted out as Xiao Chen kicked the Yan clan first elder back, shattering his ribs. 5 Dragon Force, 25,000 tons of force, was not easy to endure when kicked out with the flawless saber Dao. This sudden change happened in an instant. Xiao Chen, who was clearly on the verge of dying, actually exploded out and injured someone, knocking the Yan clan first elder back. We were fooled by this brat. He scattered his aura on his own. The Jiang clan and Lin clan elders were startled. They had not expected Xiao Chen to do that. By scattering his aura, it meant that he had to endure the might of 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures. The internal injuries he would suffer would be no joke. Even if he could suppress it temporarily, when it erupted, it would be a lot to bear. Furthermore, if the two of them had attacked together, his old and new injuries would erupt together. Even a deity would not be able to save him. When the two of them looked at Xiao Chen, they trembled in fear. This kind of person was too ruthless. He was ruthless to his enemies and even more ruthless to himself. Whoosh! Now that an opening appeared, Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he charged out. When he arrived before the 3 scions, his lips curled up in a cruel smile. These 3 showed horrified expressions. Just a moment ago, they were still thinking about how to torture Xiao Chen before killing him. In the next moment, Xiao Chen kicked the Yen clan first elder away and charged over to them. You three pieces of trash want to kill me? Today, I will cripple you first. A cold light flashed on Xiao Chen's saber. He executed his strongest killing move, the subduing dragon profound slash, expressionlessly. Out of sight, out of mind. Since Xiao Chen found an opportunity, he would not give the three a chance to flee. Stop! The Jiang clan and Lin clan's first elders shouted in fright. How could they dare to hold back? They used their 2 emperor-grade secret treasures to charge over without holding anything back. They wanted to stop Xiao Chen from attacking with their emperor-grade secret treasures. However, not only did they fail to kill Xiao Chen, but Xiao Chen even killed their scions. If word of this spread, the various clan heads would be enraged. Right now, Xiao Chen was as strong as a great grandmaster-level martial sage. If he used his full power, how could the 3 scions be a match for him? Furthermore, he used his strongest killing move, the subduing dragon profound slash. When Xiao Chen attacked, he did not intend to let the 3 live. 18 azure saber lights swept out and turned the 3 scions into a scarlet light. Xiao Chen personally killed the 3 scions in front of the first elders of the 3 clans. No one had expected such an ending. The 3 scions would not be able to rest in peace even in death. Before coming, they had looked at Xiao Chen like he was a dead man. They had casually treated Xiao Chen like a turtle in a jar, wanting to use him to vent their anger and get rid of the shadow in their hearts. For the sake of killing Xiao Chen, the 3 clans brought out their secret treasures. They were very bold and ruthless. However, Xiao Chen was even more ruthless than them. Relying on this ruthlessness, he broke out of this certain death situation with a flip of his hand. Bastard! After the scions died miserably, the first elders of the Jiang clan and Lin clan went berserk. The 10,000 beast cauldron and the tortoise spirit shield charged over at the same time. Tens of thousands of ancient tortoise shells lined up to form the tortoise spirit shield. The shock wave from it arrived first. Space was like water, rippling as it was compressed. These were spatial ripples. With just a gentle wave, they could shatter a mountain range for 50 kilometers around. The Jiang clan's first elder poured his heavenly sage laws into the tortoise spirit shield without caring about the expenditure. Blood leaked out of the corners of his eyes, and his face aged 10 years. The might of the tortoise spirit shield was startling. Such horrifying energy already rivaled the strike of the blue-robed emperor. However, it was only a tenth of the might of an emperor-grade secret treasure. This showed how horrifying the true explosive power of an emperor-grade secret treasure was. If it were in Emperor Wu's hands, he would probably only need 1 wave to crush Xiao Chen into a meat patty. Even a rank 4 sage body would not be enough. Fortunately, the tortoise spirit shield only had a tenth of its strength. It was just an attack from the blue-robed emperor. Xiao Chen still had some confidence in blocking it. Sheathing the saber, Xiao Chen stabbed the lunar shadow saber into the ground. Then, he quickly formed hand seals and materialized the 5th move of the myriad heaven divine fist, eternal myth. The magic energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness surged, and a deity image appeared behind him, looking exactly like him. Chapter 992. Countless praises rang out. Xiao Chen's expression turned solemn and dignified as he continuously burned his magic energy, storing up divine might. When the spatial wave arrived before Xiao Chen, he finally succeeded in gathering divine might. The deity statue became 1,000 times larger, radiating a bright light and radiating divine might. Xiao Chen leaned over and smashed down with a palm strike. Bang! He blocked the layers of spatial waves. The waves stirred, and a spatial storm spread out in all directions. The deity statue behind him slowly cracked and returned to nothingness. Xiao Chen's body shook, feeling dizzy. The Jiang clan elder flew back, blood flowing out of his mouth, making him look even older. Roar! Right after the wave passed, the Lin clan first elder used the 10,000 beast cauldron. The 100 ancient mutated beast images that he summoned instantly arrived before Xiao Chen, drowning Xiao Chen within. A ruthless expression flashed on the Lin clan first elder's aged face. He raised the 10,000 beast cauldron, wanting to control the 100 ancient mutated beasts to tear Xiao Chen to pieces. These 100 ancient mutated beast phantoms weren't something that the Lin clan's scion had summoned with his replica could compare to. They already possessed simple intelligence and were even more ferocious. Their bodies were already infinitely close to the physical bodies of the ancient mutated beasts. When 100 ancient mutated beasts appeared, they could even injure the blue-robed emperor. However, Xiao Chen happened to not be afraid of this. With a flip of his hand, the Holy Beast Medallion appeared in his palm. A strand of azure light shot out and instantly intimidated the 100 ancient mutated beast images around him. Xiao Chen continued burning his magic energy, wanting to use the Holy Beast Medallion to suck in these 100 beasts. However, Xiao Chen's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly stopped. An even stronger aura came from the 10,000 beast cauldron. It was like formless chains firmly binding these 100 beasts. The Holy Beast Medallion's suction could not break the chains at all. While Xiao Chen was distracted, the 100 ancient mutated beasts started to struggle. The Holy Beast Medallion wanted to break free from the deterrent force of the Holy Beast Medallion. Decisively withdrawing, the wind howled as Xiao Chen took the opportunity to escape the encirclement of the 100 ancient beasts. The old man from the Lin family widened his eyes in disbelief as he watched Xiao Chen intimidate the mutated beasts before calmly jumping out of their encirclement. Damn it! He wanted to continue controlling the exotic beasts to attack, but summoning these 100 exotic beasts had already cost him quite a bit. If he wanted to continue controlling it, he would have to rest for a while. Otherwise, his body wouldn't be able to take it. Xiao Chen paused in the air and glanced at the three who were heavily injured. This was a great opportunity. He could kill the three of them and even take the opportunity to snatch the 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Chen rejected this decision. His current body was also not optimistic. In the first place, he had not fully recovered from the battle at Strange Fire City, so he decided to take a risk. The might of the 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures surged into Xiao Chen's body at the same time, but he managed to suppress the injuries he suffered. The first elders of the 3 clans sat cross-legged on the ground, quickly recovering from the injuries from activating the Emperor-grade secret treasures. Their expressions were extremely unsightly. This time, they had made a huge joke of themselves. Bringing 3 Emperor-grade secret treasures to kill Xiao Chen. Not only did they fail to kill Xiao Chen, but the scions of the 3 clans that accompanied them all died at Xiao Chen's hands instead. The deaths of scions were not a big deal. The sovereign noble clans had many descendants and many outstanding talents. With the intense competition, there was never a lack of successors. Although it was rare for the scions of the sovereign noble clans to die at a young age when they went out on experiential training, it was not unheard of. The most important thing was the face of the sovereign noble clans. This time, the face of the entire world would be completely thrown away. In the distant horizon, Ying Zongtian and the sword sovereign Lu Xiaoyun stood side by side. They peered through space and saw everything that happened. Lu Xiaoyun hugged a sword and smiled. This fellow is really ruthless. I wonder if those old fogies of the Yan clan, Jiang clan, and Lin clan can sit still. Ying Zongtian smiled and said, "It looks like my sovereign's tribulation has gained a few more problems." "What's wrong? You don't look worried at all." "Those old fogies of the 3 clans are not weak," Lu Xiaoyun said with a smile. "With me, Wu Xiaotian, around, is there a need to be afraid?" Space tore open, and the saber sovereign, Wu Xiaotian, walked out, wearing tight robes and holding a treasure saber. Buzz! The moment Wu Xiaoyun appeared, the sword in Lu Xiaoyun's embrace trembled uncontrollably. A surging sword intent waited to be unleashed. "The void sword's temper is still the same as before," Wu Xiaotian said softly with a smile. The void sword was forged by Situ Leihong. It was a divine weapon ranked 5th on the divine weapon ranking. Lu Xiaoyun suppressed the void sword intent and smiled coldly. Your time saber has not changed either. It is still the same as before, like a dead ghost. The time saber was also ranked 5th on the divine weapon ranking. For the sake of his sovereign's tribulation, Ying Zongtian actually managed to get the profound domain's saber sword 2 sovereigns to come. No wonder he was confident that he would succeed in his tribulation. Let's go. If you want to fight, wait until I undergo my tribulation. There will be a chance for you two to make a move then. Clearly, Ying Zongtian had already guessed this would happen. He smiled, not surprised at all. Although the two did not like each other, they knew what was more important. They both snorted coldly and ignored each other. In a desolate mountain range, Xiaoqin sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, regulating his breathing. By now, the battle with the 3 sovereign noble clans had already lasted for half a month. For the past half a month, the other party's pursuit had not stopped. Xiaoqin fought as he moved, getting closer and closer to the central province. During this time, several people from other factions joined in as well. During this life-or-death chase and all sorts of enemies, Xiaoqian's comprehension of the martial Tao deepened. After shaking off a group of pursuers, there were less than 10 days left until the king conferral ceremony. Finally, Xiaoqin made his decision. He would break through the bottleneck of peak superior grade martial sage and advance to great grandmaster level martial sage in one step. Xiaoqin opened his eyes and stretched out his hand. 10 peak spirit veins origins appeared. He intended to use this to break through the bottleneck. Then, he would consume all 10 peak spirit veins in one go and advance to great grandmaster level martial sage in one go. What kind of concept was this? Xiaoqin cultivated for half a year before consuming 1 peak spirit vein to advance to peak superior grade martial sage. Such a horrifying speed was already shocking enough. Now, Xiaoqin wanted to consume 10 peak spirit veins in one go, all for the sake of advancing to great grandmaster level martial sage. There were 2 ways to be conferred king. One was to become a sovereign martial emperor and become a king, having their own title. If the king title that one wanted already had an owner, one would have to challenge the other party. Only by defeating them could one obtain it. For example, after the Thunder King became a sovereign martial emperor, he immediately challenged the Thunder and Lightning Palace's palace master, who held the title of Thunder King, for the sake of obtaining the title of Thunder King. However, the result was rather tragic. The Thunder King, who was of the same generation as the Qing Emperor, won in the end. As for the Thunder King, Sang Mu, he died mysteriously. The other way was the king conferral ceremony that the Bushan Palace was about to hold. The title of king was conferred by the Bushan Palace based on military merits. Below king were the marquis, nobility, and duke. Compared to the former, the latter were definitely less important. However, they were no less solemn and dignified. In fact, they might even surpass the former. Only with 1 million military merits could one be conferred king. Accumulating 1 million military merits was not an easy task. One could exchange military merits for all sorts of rare spirit pills, martial techniques, and cultivation techniques in the Bushan Palace. It would be very difficult for regular cultivators to not use them. Furthermore, it was not easy to obtain military merits. In the past 1,000 years, no more than 20 people had been conferred the title of king in the Bushan Palace. No more than 10 had been conferred the title of king before the age of 100. None had been conferred the title of king before the age of 50. Now, the White Emperor City's young city lord, Xiahou Ju, had already accumulated 1 million military merits at the age of 35. He inherited his ancestor's title and was conferred the title of White Tiger King. One could easily imagine what a grand event this was. The 3 vice palace masters of the Bushan Palace worked together to send out invitations to the world to hold a king conferral ceremony in the central province's Tianwu city. Who were the 3 vice palace masters? They were all sovereign martial emperors. Furthermore, they were the masters of the 3 holy masters' holy lands, the Vermilion Bird Palace, the White Emperor City, and the Divine Martial Gate. It had been many years since the three holy lords worked together to send out invitations. This time, the three holy masters sent out invitations together. This showed how important this matter was to them. Given the prestige of the three holy masters in the Tianwu domain, if there were no surprises, all the sect masters of the various sects or famous cultivators who received invitations would show up as promised. In fact, there would even be the phenomenon of selling invitations. Outside the Tianwu domain, the reputation of the three holy masters as holy lands would no longer be as useful. In the eyes of the cultivators of the other domains, the strongest of the human race would definitely be the Thunder King. The main reason why the cultivators of the other four domains took time out to participate in this king conferral ceremony was a very short and insignificant sentence at the bottom of the invitations. With one glance, 99% of the people would automatically ignore this sentence. Shao Chen, 1 million military merits, conferred king on the same day. There were only 10 days left until the king conferral ceremony. No matter how close the cultivators who received the invitations were, they would have to make a move now. Tianwu domain, Haotian sect, when Shui Lingling saw the invitation, she revealed a playful smile. The invitation introduced Xiao Hoju's background in detail, as well as the various things he had done since he made his debut. There were hundreds of words in total. Shao Chen's name was clearly written in gold. The picture on the back of the invitation was also exquisite. Xiao Hoju rode the holy beast White Tiger, standing on a tall peak and looking into the distance. His cloak fluttered in the wind. At the bottom corner was the news of Shao Chen's conferral of king. There were only 10 simple words, written in the same color as the invitation, written in a place that was easy to overlook. If one did not look carefully, one would not notice such a sentence. This was indeed the case. The strong publicity from Bushan Palace also made many ordinary cultivators of the Tianwu domain forget about Shao Chen's conferral of king. They all forgot about Shao Chen being conferred king. They only knew that Xia Hojue was conferred king. Shui Lingling closed the invitation and asked the first elder, Han Qinghe, Uncle Han, how has junior brother Shao Chen been? Han Qinghe replied, there has been bad news recently. After he barged into Strange Fire City, 3 sovereign noble clans using their emperor-grade secret treasures blocked him. Originally, he would have died. However, for some reason, he managed to force his way through and even killed the scions of the 3 sovereign noble clans. However, he is severely injured as well. In the past few days, he has been hiding from the pursuers, disappearing without a trace. Worry appeared on Shui Lingling's gentle face. She did not know how Shao Chen managed to get so far. There were still 10 more days to the king conferral ceremony. If Shao Chen died on the way, then all his efforts would have been for naught. Chapter 993. Shao Chen only hoped that Shao Chen could appear safely at the king conferral ceremony. At that time, even if he could not be conferred king, at least no one would dare to touch him openly. After hesitating for a while, Han Qinghe said hesitantly, there is another piece of bad news. I'm not sure if I should say it or not. Shui Lingling's heart sank as she had a bad feeling. Speak, then. The deity race has made a move as well. 10 great Grandmaster level martial sages with temporary deity statues have already set off. They need to block Shao Chen at the last moment. No matter what, they cannot allow him to appear at the king conferral ceremony. Casting a deity statue meant having a statue of oneself in the deity race's sacred hall. Then, one could receive worship from the crowd and absorb the power of faith. The deity race claimed to have 3,000 deities. In reality, most of them only had the cultivation of the blue-robed emperor. However, the strength that they could erupt with far surpassed that of a regular blue-robed emperor. They relied on the power of faith. If these 10 deity race great grandmaster level martial sages found Shao Chen, the consequences would be dire. Shui Lingling's expression changed slightly. No, we cannot let junior brother Shao Chen continue on alone. We have to help him. Han Qinghe sighed softly, the sect master already said that we are not allowed to make a move. This path can only be walked by Shao Chen himself. Shui Lingling's expression changed as she calmed down. She understood in her heart that this path was chosen by Shao Chen himself. Back on the Haotian star, Shao Chen had withdrawn his sharpness and was not famous. However, Shao Chen had already seen the true dragon hidden in his eyes. After the battle on the proud Son of Heaven ranking, everyone in the world knew about Shao Chen's identity as a descendant of the Qing Emperor. From that moment on, Shao Chen had already made preparations to bear everything. Shao Chen had to walk this path of king conferral alone. Eventually, he would appear at the king conferral ceremony and inherit the Blue Dragon King title that belonged to him. Let's go and participate in junior brother Shao Chen's king conferral ceremony. He will definitely appear in Tianwu City. The worried expression on Shui Lingling's face disappeared and was replaced by confidence and determination. At the king conferral ceremony, the white figure that had never disappointed her would definitely appear with pride. Kunlun Realm, Kuafu clan's residence, young master Kuafu Zhu, Renkongjiue looked at the small words at the bottom right corner of the red invitation letter, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He smiled coldly and said, "I hope that you will show up. No one has ever dared to humiliate me like this before." In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Shao Chen had gone to ask for Lord Jiu's hand in marriage. In the end, Shao Chen had used Lord Jiu to make fun of him. Shao Chen had always remembered this great humiliation. He had been waiting for this king conferral ceremony to deal a fatal blow to the other party. In the Azura clan, which was also a powerful ancient clan, Lan Xiaobai, Yu, and the others were taking turns passing around an invitation. Yu's face was filled with doubt as she said, "Shao Chen's name, Brother Xiaobai, how come I don't see it?" Lan Xiaobai smiled helplessly and pointed to the bottom corner, where the words were the same color as the invitation letter. "It's here." "Why is it so small?" "I can't see it clearly," Yu said gloomily as joy flashed on her face. The person beside her said to Lan Xiaobai, "Xiaobai, what are your plans?" Lan Xiaobai sighed. In the past year, he had traveled everywhere. In the end, he discovered that his reputation could not move anyone. It was practically impossible for him to organize a heroes' convention to compete with Diwuk. "I will make a move against him. If he can survive and successfully conferred king, I will be willing to stand on his side." At the same time, in the Ghost Domain, the descendants of 3 sovereign martial emperors had already set off for Tianwu City in the central province under the lead of the heaven-punishing corpse god's personal disciple. In the chaotic demonic sea, the merfolk race Queen Yao Yen received the invitation letter. A bright light flickered in her eyes as she looked at the unremarkable words at the bottom right corner. "It has begun. I have to send someone to deliver the congratulatory gift." After crossing the chaotic demonic sea, in the headquarters of the Heavenly Starry Ocean's Northern Sea Alliance, "First young master, the king conferral ceremony that you told me to keep an eye on will be held in 10 days. Yi Qin said with some disappointment, "I'm afraid there is no time to go. However, it should not be a problem to get father to prepare a congratulatory gift." In the Fiend Domain, Bai pestered the Fox King with a smile on his face, urging the 5 strongest experts of the Kunlun continent to personally go to the king conferral ceremony. Outside the Tianwu Domain, there were many other places. Many people who received invitations paid attention to the most unremarkable words on the invitation. The expressions on their faces were either anger, smiles, or so on and so forth. The 3 holy masters probably would not have expected what kind of storm this king conferral ceremony would stir up. The king conferral ceremony would be held in 10 days. In the central province's Tianwu City, some famous cultivators started to appear in the streets. The liveliness of the city increased by the day. In the tea houses and restaurants, all the topics were focused on the upcoming king conferral ceremony. However, the topic was not Shao Hou. Instead, it was the name on the invitation that no one would notice if they did not take a second look. There were some things and some people that could not be hidden even if one wanted to. Perhaps an ordinary cultivator would not notice Shao Chen's situation. However, a cultivator with a certain level of strength would not overlook this subtle change. The 3 holy masters intentionally suppressed Shao Chen, not letting the world pay too much attention to him. However, the more they did this, the more curious people became. "Did you hear? Shao Chen will not be able to attend the king conferral ceremony. In a certain bustling tea house in Tianwu City, someone brought up the hottest topic of the day. Immediately, someone replied with a smile, "I heard about it long ago. The rumors are everywhere." Since the moment Shao Chen left the profound domain, he has been under constant attack. First, he destroyed the Purple Knight Sword Sect's attack. Then, he forcefully barged into Strange Fire City. After that, he was blocked by the 3 sovereign noble clans. Ha! The 3 sovereign noble clans really made a big joke this time. They even used their emperor-grade secret treasures. In the end, Shao Chen killed the scions of their 3 clans and forced his way out. However, Shao Chen's situation is not very good now, either. The people of the 3 sovereign noble clans are looking for him. Some strong loose cultivators who want to take advantage of him also ran over. It's not just not good. He is practically in danger. The latest news is that the great grandmaster level martial sages of the deity race have already charged over. This is forcing Shao Chen to his death. Right now, there is no news of Shao Chen. We do not know if he is dead or alive, or how he is doing. I think he is in danger. Even if he barely survives, he will not be able to rush to the king conferral ceremony. At the end of the discussion, everyone felt that it was a pity. The name white-robed Shao Chen quickly spread throughout the Tianwu domain after that famous battle on the proud Son of Heaven ranking. After that, people started digging out information about Shao Chen's experiences. The various things that happened after that made Shao Chen even more famous. Everyone slowly accepted the title of the Qing Emperor's descendant. Originally, everyone thought that this king conferral ceremony would straighten out Shao Chen's name. The title of Blue Dragon King would be rightfully given to Shao Chen. Who could have imagined that there would be so many twists and turns? First, it was delayed by half a year. Then, the 3 holy masters played dirty tricks in secret. Now, the situation worsened, directly interfering with Shao Chen on the surface. They were just short of shedding all pretense of cordiality and personally making a move on Shao Chen. Anyone with a brain would be able to guess the reason behind it. 10,000 years ago, when the Dragon's Gate flourished, and the Qing Emperor shone dazzlingly, the 3 holy masters were suppressed to the point where they could not raise their heads. The title of Holy Land existed in name only, completely ignored. Now, the 3 holy masters naturally did not want to experience that again. Amid such discussions, the king conferral ceremony approached day by day. However, all news about Shao Chen stopped. It was like he had vanished completely. There was no news of the 10 great grandmaster level martial sages of the deity race either. Whether they found Shao Chen or not, what was the result of the great battle, was like a stone sinking into the sea, silent. He can't make it. The king conferral ceremony is starting. On the day the king conferral ceremony officially started, there was still no news of Shao Chen. The cultivators in the city who held expectations for Shao Chen all sighed. How unfortunate. If we do not confer him a king this time, he will have to become a sovereign martial emperor if he wants to obtain a king conferral in the future. It's difficult. Let's not talk about whether he's alive or dead. This setback will leave a shadow in his heart. Whether he can advance to martial emperor or not will be a problem. I wonder what the king conferral ceremony will be like. Unfortunately, there are no invitations. Some people looked in the direction of the Tianwu Plaza in the city, revealing curious expressions in their eyes. The Tianwu Plaza was where the king conferral ceremony would be held. However, one needed invitations to enter. Those who could enter to watch the king conferral ceremony were either people from the 9 ranks of the great families or famous experts. There were many people who met the requirements. Nearly all the people who were invited were present. Nearly all the outstanding talents of the younger generation of the Kunlun realm were present. Some of the factions that had a good relationship with the White Emperor City would even send the blue-robed emperor, giving the White Emperor City a lot of face. As for Emperor Wu, he was too far away. Unless there were great benefits, he would not be able to attract them. At this moment, the White Emperor City's Xiaoju stood on a tall platform in the center of the flower-filled Tianwu Plaza. He had a wide smile on his face, looking very spirited. Many golden statues stood behind the tall platform. All of them were cultivators that the Bushan Palace had conferred the title of king, representing great glory. However, behind Xiaoju's smile, he still felt somewhat nervous. When he looked around, he saw a huge crowd. The people who came were all famous major characters of the Kunlun realm. All the famous outstanding talents of the younger generation had rushed over. Xiaoju felt somewhat fearful of a certain person suddenly appearing and completely overshadowing his brilliance on this day when he should be in the limelight. However, Xiaoju also felt some anticipation. Now that his strength had soared, he really wanted to compete with Shao Chen in front of everyone. Xiaoju's emotions were conflicted and complicated. The black-clad old man presiding over the ceremony smiled reassuringly and said, "Young city lord, don't worry. I received news that the 10 great grandmaster level martial sages of the deity race found Shao Chen 5 days ago." Xiaoju rejoiced in his heart. He suppressed his excitement and whispered, "Shao Chen is dead." The black-clad old man replied, "I don't know about that. Right now, no one can find any news from either side. However, young city lord, don't worry. Even if he managed to escape, he would be severely injured. If he still dares to come to the king conferral ceremony, hee. Chapter 994. At the end, the old man smiled sinisterly. Xiaoju also revealed a smile. Participating in the king conferral ceremony in such a state was definitely seeking humiliation, becoming a foil for him. The Azura race's young clan head, Lan Xiaobai, comes to offer congratulations. The Kuafu race's Ren Kongjue comes to offer congratulations. 2 genius experts of the ancient races handed over their invitations. Immediately, someone called out the names of these people. This immediately attracted the gazes of many people. These two could be considered the peak outstanding talents of the younger generation. Unexpectedly, they came to the Bushan Palace's king conferral ceremony as well. After that, many other famous outstanding talents came. The heavenly starry ocean's Xianshui sect's young sect master and even a mysterious person from the Zodiac Hall came. After that, the Fiend Domain's Peacock King's descendant, the Fox King's adopted daughter and disciple, came personally, attracting everyone's attention. Congratulations rang out endlessly. More major characters from the Ghost Domain, Corpse Domain, and Profound Domain arrived. The descendants of several sovereign martial emperors came one after another, setting off waves of startled sighs in the plaza. Even Xiaoju, who was on the tall platform, frowned slightly. Shao Chen was still aware of his own limitations. Given his fame, he could not attract so many people. That fellow's fame is truly resounding. However, this is good as well. Today, I can use your fame to support my king conferral ceremony. In the Haotian sect's VIP stands, Yu Chenxi and Gong Yangyu looked around, trying to find that familiar white figure. However, they withdrew their gazes in disappointment every time. Shui Lingling, who sat in the middle, bit her lip and frowned slightly. Why is this fellow in such a rush? If he still does not come, it will be too late. In the other places, the people on good terms with Shao Chen saw that Shao Chen was not on the tall platform. They could not hide their disappointment and worry. Suddenly, there was a commotion in the square. It was Di Wuk and goddess Tian Yu Shi who came to congratulate them. Under everyone's gaze, Di Wuk had a confident smile on his face as he arrived at the Protoss VIP seats with Tian Yu Shi. The fact that Di Wuk would actually come was out of many people's expectations. Glancing at the high platform, Di Wuk did not see Shao Chen's figure. He calmed down a little and went to the VIP seats of the Protoss with Tian Yu Shi. After about 15 minutes, when the black-clad old man hosting the ceremony saw that all the guests had arrived, he said eagerly, "Thank you, honored guests, for coming from afar to witness the king conferral ceremony of my Bushan Palace's new White Tiger King, young Master Xiaoju. Now that the auspicious hour has arrived, I hereby announce the official start of the king conferral ceremony." Right after the black-clad old man spoke, the huge ceremonial cannons placed in the plaza gave off loud rumbles. Clumps of light shot out and exploded, turning into 7-colored heavenly flowers that rained down from the sky. This was a man-made mysterious phenomenon that consumed a lot of resources. Normally, they were 5-colored heavenly flowers. This time, for the sake of this king conferral ceremony, the White Emperor City's Holy Lord did not hesitate to expend a lot of resources to create such magnificent 7-colored heavenly flowers. The heavenly flowers rained down, too beautiful to behold. However, several people showed anxious expressions and did not have time to appreciate the scene. Who is it? How dare you barge into the Tianwu Plaza? Just as Bai Shui Lingling and the others were about to lose their patience, something strange happened. 3 explosive shouts came from outside the plaza. 3 Bushin Palace Grandmaster level martial sages with extremely strong auras soared into the air, radiating killing chi. They wanted to kill the person barging into the plaza on the spot. Peering through the sky full of petals, one could vaguely see a white figure. The heavenly flowers rained down in a rainbow. Who was barging into the Tianwu Plaza? Did this person not know that the Bushin Palace, which was filled with experts, dared to cause trouble here? How bold was this person? The roar immediately attracted the attention of the crowd. The geniuses and the leaders of the sects all directed their gazes in the direction of the roar. The 3 Bushin Palace Grandmaster-level martial sages attacked ruthlessly, showing no mercy. The 3 of them executed their martial techniques, causing the sky to tremble and light to spread everywhere. The tremors caused the heavenly flowers to fly everywhere, and a strong wind blew. An indistinct white tiger image appeared behind them. That was the holy beast martial spirit. These 3 people were White Emperor City's Grandmaster-level martial sages. This person is going to die. Amid the boundless heavenly flowers, the strong wind covered the person's face. Only a vague silhouette could be seen. Although the crowd did not know who these people were, the 3 Bushin Palace Grandmaster-level martial sages were from the White Emperor City, a holy land. When they attacked, their demeanor and aura showed that they could kill an ordinary great Grandmaster-level martial sages with one strike. Based on this person's age and aura, he did not seem like a great Grandmaster-level martial sage. How could he survive? Clang! However, just as the 3's martial techniques approached that person, a saber hum resounded in the sky. A bright saber light covered the blazing sun in the sky. Night suddenly fell. Only a saber light as resplendent and bright as the moon remained. The night was flawless, and the moon was perfect and flawless. There was an explosion in the air, and the moonlight vanished. The 3 great Grandmaster-level martial sages were knocked back 1 kilometer. The entire place was set abuzz. One person faced 3 great Grandmaster-level martial sages alone. Not only did he not lose, but he even knocked them back. Who exactly was this person? The white figure moved gently. His clothes fluttered, and his hair fluttered. Then, he crossed the sky full of flower petals and landed on the tall platform. Stop him! Whoosh! Many figures shot out from the ground. The weakest of these people were Grandmaster-level martial sages. There were also many great Grandmaster-level martial sages. If an outsider dared to barge into the king conferral ceremony, it would be a big joke. Ding! Ding! Dang! Dang! The white figure's hair fluttered, and saber music rang out like zither music. A wondrous zither song played in the sky. Boundless saber intent reverberated in the sky. One by one, the figures that shot into the air were lightly brushed by the white figure. Xiao Chen. As the crowd approached, they could clearly see the appearance of that white figure. Several people's expressions changed as they cried out in shock. After passing the final great Grandmaster-level martial sages blocking his way, Xiao Chen landed on the tall platform. Then, he tossed out his identity medallion and handed it to the old man beside Xiao Hoju. In a neither servile nor overbearing manner, Xiao Chen said in a calm tone, "I am the Haotian sect's Xiao Chen, conferred king conferral. Sorry for being late." When the black-clad old man saw the name on the identity medallion, his expression flickered. Back in the Bushan Palace, he was the trusted aide of the White Emperor City's Holy Lord. Otherwise, he would not have been the one to host this king conferral ceremony. These simple and indifferent words confirmed Xiao Chen's identity. A loud commotion resounded in the plaza. It really is Xiao Chen. He really came. Wasn't it rumored that the 10 great grandmaster-level martial sages of the deity race severely injured him? That doesn't seem like it at all. In the Haotian sect's guest stands, Shui Lingling revealed a gentle smile as she heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that Xiao Chen came. As long as he was alive, there was hope for everything. Bai, who stood with Kong Yuan and Yuan Su, squinted his eyes like a pair of crescent moons. His face filled with a joyful smile. The ghost race's Qing Qing smiled faintly. In the end, this fellow did not disappoint her. In the end, he still came. The Full Moon Pavilion's Feng Xingsheng, the Shiman clan's Shiman Bao, the Battle Realm genius Niu Deng, and the others were slightly startled, not having expected this. Despite so many traps and layers of obstruction, Xiao Chen still appeared at the king conferral ceremony, arriving as promised. Some were shocked, some were disappointed, some rejoiced, and some were strangely furious. The deity race's Diwuk showed a sullen expression. Xiao Chen appeared alive, and the deity race's great grandmaster-level martial sages were nowhere to be found. That meant only one thing. The great grandmaster-level martial sages who forged the deity statue all died at Xiao Chen's hands. In the corpse race's VIP seats, Xing Ju, the personal disciple of the corpse god palace's heaven-punishing corpse god, said to Wei Hua, the underworld fire sovereign's descendant, "This person is Xiao Chen. He is the one who defeated you and Long Fei on Dragonwood Star, as well as the Iron Hand sovereign's descendant, Kue Do." Aside from the corpse god's bloodline, the corpse god palace had 4 other sovereign martial emperors, each of them in charge of a faction: the Underworld Fire Sovereign, the White Bone Sovereign, the Death Fire Sovereign, and the Ghost Fire Sovereign. In the past, there was also the Iron Hand Sovereign, who cultivated the physical body. However, the Iron Hand Sovereign had already betrayed the corpse god palace and was not counted. A murderous intent flashed in Wei Hua's eyes. He said through clenched teeth, "That's him." Xing Ju's gaze was frivolous, and his lips curled up slightly. He remained silent, thinking about something. Xiao Chen's appearance was unexpected, catching that black-clad old man off guard. He did not know what to say. "Senior, is my identity fake?" The black-clad old man recovered his wits and handed his identity medallion to Xiao Chen. "Your identity is not fake." Xiao Chen asked indifferently, "In that case, can we begin the king conferral ceremony?" Xiao Hoju, who was at the side, smiled coldly and said, "You speak in such absolute terms. Whether you can be conferred king or not is not decided yet. During the king conferral ceremony, experts of the same generation can challenge each other. If someone beats you half to death, there is no need for you to continue being conferred king." Xiao Chen's eyes narrowed. Then, he turned his head to look at Xiao Hoju and smiled. "Brother Xiao, since you are so confident, how about the two of us exchange moves first before being conferred king?" This provoked Xiao Hoju to agree. However, the black-clad old man at the side quickly said, "Young master, don't be rash. Confer king first." At the same time, Xiao Hoju sent a voice projection, "Don't fight with him first. Someone will deal with him later. Later, when everyone comes to offer their congratulations, the Holy Lord has already made arrangements. Let him make a fool of himself first." Xiao Hoju snorted coldly and ignored Xiao Chen. When everyone came to offer their congratulations, it was a competition of connections. When everyone came to offer their congratulations, Xiao Hoju was confident that, given the White Tiger Holy Lord's status, no one in the Tianwu domain would dare to not give him face. Under the Holy Lord's pressure, aside from the Haotian sect, no one in the Tianwu domain would send a congratulatory gift to Xiao Chen. At that time, there would be an endless stream of people coming to offer their congratulations. This would be a sharp contrast to the cold and cheerless scene of the other party. The king conferral ceremony began. The black-clad old man started to recite Xiao Hoju's military merits, speaking in an excited voice. Xiao Hoju, 1,000,000 military merits, a great contribution. Bushin Palace specially conferred the title of White Tiger King, 100 bottles of sage-grade medicinal pills, 1 heaven-ranked cultivation technique, 1 king-grade secret treasure, and 1 set of White Tiger King armor. After detailing Xiao Hoju's military merits, the black-clad old man started to announce the rewards that Bushin Palace gave out. The long list of rewards was all worth cities. Music rang out, and beautiful girls on both sides of the tall platform stepped forward to help Xiao Hoju put on the White Tiger King armor, which shone with a bright light. Qian Yun of the Flowing Clouds sect is here on the orders of the sect master to congratulate young master Xiao Hoju on being conferred king. We hereby present a peak spirit vein. Chapter 995. After Xiao Hoju put on his clothes, he looked very awe-inspiring. Immediately, the sects sent their congratulatory gifts. The gift they gave was a top-grade spirit vein right off the bat. The generosity of a 9th-rank sect was indeed extraordinary. After accepting the gifts, Xiao Hoju smiled faintly and gave Xiao Chen a playful look. The Thousand Mysteries sect congratulates young master Xiao Hoju on being conferred king. We hereby send 50 tons of black patterned gold. The Clearwater Gate congratulates young master Xiao Hoju on being conferred king. We hereby send 50 tons of 1,000-year-old profound iron. The Blood Saber Pavilion congratulates young master Xiao Hoju on being conferred king. We hereby send a peak king grade secret treasure. Given the connections of the White Emperor City's Holy Lord, the 9 ranks of the great families of the Tianwu domain, aside from the Haotian sect, all sent their gifts. The scene was extremely majestic. This continued for 1 hour before the Tianwu domain's gift-givers slowly stopped. Xiao Hoju smiled endlessly. He purposely waved his hand and said to Xiao Chen, "Brother Xiao, there are too many gifts. My hands are getting tired. If Brother Xiao does not receive any gifts, you can come to me to choose a few after this." The black-clad old man smiled and said, "This is the difference between a holy land and an ordinary sect. Some people are really bold, daring to be conferred king together with young master Xia." Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He did not understand what was there to be proud of. He only cared about the title of the Blue Dragon King. Aside from that, everything else was meaningless. As for the congratulatory gifts, Xiao Chen did not care much about them. Right now, he only cared about one thing: what was his title? Xiao Hoju was the White Tiger King. In that case, would he be the White-Robed King or the Blue Dragon King? If it was the former, there was no need for him to remain in this king conferral ceremony. Xiao Chen would beat up this Xiao Hoju and vent the frustration he suffered along the way. Then, he would flick his sleeves and leave. If it was the Blue Dragon King, he could endure it for a while and vent his anger in the future. Xiao Hoju's title had been read out. Next, he would be awarded the badge and sworn allegiance to Bushin Palace. Then, he would be the real Bushin Palace's White Tiger King. He could announce his title to the outside world and receive special treatment within the jurisdiction of Bushin Palace. However, before that, they had to announce Xiao Chen's title and wait for him to accept the congratulatory gifts before they could award the Xiao Hoju the emblem. Somewhat reluctantly, the black-clad old man took out the Bushin Palace announcement and read, "Xiao Chen, 1,000,000 military merits, title Blue Dragon King, personally appointed by the Thunder King." Compared to Xiao Hoju's lengthy announcement, the black-clad old man's announcement of Xiao Chen's king conferral was clearly much simpler. His tone even seemed a little reluctant and perfunctory. However, these few words, especially the last 4 words, were personally appointed by the Thunder King. This made everyone present take a deep breath. To think that the Thunder King personally appointed Xiao Chen's title. The strongest human expert, a legend from the same generation as the Qing Emperor, actually participated in something that was not worth mentioning to them. When Xiao Hoju saw everyone's reactions, he felt displeased. He thought to himself, "Just you wait. Let's see what congratulatory gifts you can receive. When you receive a pile of trash, let's see how you can still be pleased. The Haotian sect's Shui Lingling congratulates Xiao Chen on being conferred king. After the black-clad old man finished reading, Shui Lingling floated up. Holding a wooden box, she walked over to Xiao Chen and said with a smile, "Junior brother, congratulations on being conferred king. This is my gift." Xiao Chen received the box but was not in a rush to open it. He raised his head and said with a smile, "Thank you, senior sister. Aren't you going to open it and take a look?" Shui Lingling blinked. At the side, Xiahou Ju sneered, "It is just trash. How could I be embarrassed to open it?" Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He had long since resented the three holy masters, especially the White Emperor City's city lord. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Xiao Chen's path to being conferred king had been fraught with death. Fortunately, the Thunder King stood up for him, helping him obtain the title of Blue Dragon King. Right now, Xiao Chen did not want to cause too much trouble. Xiao Chen gently opened the wooden box, and cold qi poured out. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky. A translucent frost pearl slowly flew out from the box. Instantly, snowflakes flew everywhere, dancing in the air above the entire Tianwu Plaza. Someone stretched out his hand and grabbed the snowflake. Then, his expression changed drastically as he exclaimed, "This is the long-lost Ice Immortal Pearl. It is said to be a treasure from the immortal epoch. After refining it, one can directly comprehend the will of ice to great perfection. This thing actually exists. It is a treasure that can directly allow one to comprehend an additional will." Exclamations resounded in the surroundings. Everyone looked at the wooden box in Xiao Chen's hand with envious expressions. Just this Ice Immortal Pearl surpassed all the gifts that Xiahou Ju had received. Xiahou Ju's face darkened slightly. He had not expected that Shui Lingling would give him such a precious item. Earlier, Xiao Chen called it trash. Now, he was slapping his own face. He really wanted to find a hole in the ground to hide in. Xiao Chen put away the Ice Immortal Pearl and smiled at Xiahou Ju. "Brother Xiahou, your horizons are really extraordinary. I wonder how many of such trash you have in your hands." Xiao Chen purposely emphasized the word trash, angering Xiahou Ju so much that his expression turned sullen. However, he could not find anything to rebut. "Don't get cocky. I will be watching from here in the Tianwu domain. Who else will come to give you a congratulatory gift?" Xiahou Ju was very frustrated. After holding it in for a long time, he could not think of anything else to say. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and did not argue with him. He performed a cup-fist salute and thanked Shui Lingling again. This was an important gift that even Xiao Chen found hard to reject. He. Bai is here to congratulate elder brother Xiao Chen on being conferred the Blue Dragon King. Just as Xiahou Ju was waiting to see Xiao Chen make a fool of himself, he saw a young girl hopping over. She was also carrying a wooden box. The girl was very beautiful, charming and enchanting. However, she also had a youthful and lively air. Her enchanting face did not look tacky. However, Xiao Chen had never heard of the name Bai before. Right after Xiao Chen spoke, someone came over to slap his face with a gift. Furthermore, it was a name that he had never heard of before. After being embarrassed by Shui Lingling earlier, Xiahou Ju could not help saying, "Where did this wild girl come from?" "Xiao Chen, only such an unpresentable character would give you a gift." Bai directly ignored Xiahou Ju. She looked at Xiao Chen happily and said, "Elder brother Xiao Chen, open it and take a look. I pestered adoptive father for a long time to get this. He said that you would need it soon." When Xiahou Ju saw that Bai ignored him, he could not help feeling even angrier. What was his status? He was the holy son of the Tianwu domain, the White Tiger King, an outstanding talent of the younger generation. Unexpectedly, this girl dared to ignore him, treating him like air. Xiao Chen could not help but get angry. He circulated his energy and pushed off the ground. A formless energy caused the wooden box to shatter with a bang, and cracks appeared on it. When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he laughed loudly. Indeed, an unpresentable character. A box containing treasures cannot even withstand a gust of wind. Such a wooden box is definitely trash. Bang! The wooden box completely shattered, and a golden light flashed. Then, a golden dragon circled the sky. Whoosh! 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 A drizzle fell, and golden spiritual rain drifted down from the sky. The spiritual energy in the entire Tianwu Plaza suddenly became 10 times denser, 100 times denser. Someone opened his mouth and sucked the golden spiritual rain into his mouth. That person immediately felt refreshed, and his law energy improved significantly. His expression changed dramatically, and his eyeballs nearly fell out. He said in a trembling voice, "This is a Holy Spirit vein." It really is a Holy Spirit vein, second only to a King Spirit vein. Even for most of the 9 ranks of the great families, there was only one Holy Spirit vein. It was used to stabilize one's luck. In fact, there was an unwritten rule in this world that only sects with Holy Spirit veins were worthy of the 9 ranks of the great families. With a Holy Spirit vein, it would be an exaggeration to say that establishing one of the 9 ranks of the great families would not be difficult. The entire plaza burst into an uproar. Several people directly circulated their energies and opened their mouths, sucking in the golden spiritual rain in large mouthfuls. Among the 9 ranks of the great families, only a few inner sect elders could enjoy a Holy Spirit vein. Furthermore, there was a time limit. If it exceeded the time limit, it had to stop. At this moment, a Holy Spirit vein leaked out. Naturally, the cultivators who had never seen a Holy Spirit vein before could not contain their excitement. Xiahou Ju's complexion turned ashen. His mouth gaped open, and his face turned red. He was so shocked that he could not say anything. Whoosh! 2 figures shot out, each holding a seal. They quickly subdued and suppressed the Holy Spirit vein. Then, they shouted at Xiahou Ju, "How bold of you! To think that you dare to boast shamelessly before the Fox King's adopted daughter. Who gave you such courage? In your eyes, even the Fox King is a minor character." The moment these words came out, the uproar immediately stopped. Everyone looked at Xiahou Ju, revealing expressions of pity. Who could have imagined that aside from being pretty, this girl with an unsophisticated name was actually the Fox King's adopted daughter? Who was the Fox King? He was one of the 5 great experts of the Kunlun realm. He was as famous as the Thunder King, Emperor Forsaken, and the heaven-punishing corpse god, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor. In terms of status, prestige, and strength, the Fox King was much stronger than the White Emperor City's City Lord, the White Tiger Holy Lord. The White Tiger Holy Lord was an absolute peak character of the Tianwu domain. Even when the Thunder King came out of closed-door cultivation, he did not dare to call others minor characters. Yet, he, Xiahou Ju, actually said such a thing. This joke, in front of all the heroes of the world, was really too big of a joke. Xiao Chen had slapped his own face too ruthlessly. Bai put away the Holy Spirit vein and smiled. Don't bother with bad people. Today is elder brother Xiao Chen's big day of being conferred king. There is no need to be angry. The black-clad old man, who was already somewhat frightened, heaved a sigh of relief. If the other party had not let it go, this matter would have blown up. Hee hee. Elder brother Xiao Chen, do you like it? If you do, I'll get adoptive father to give you a few more. Bai looked at Xiao Chen in anticipation. When the others heard this, they could not help but vomit blood. The Fox King's adopted daughter was indeed extraordinary. Holy Spirit veins were like buns. If he liked them, he would give her a few more. Xiao Chen accepted the Holy Spirit vein, feeling helpless in his heart. He did not know how to answer. If he said that he liked them, the Fox King would probably have the urge to chop him up. How could a Holy Spirit vein be like buns? Giving him one was already a great gift. If he said that he did not like them, Bai would definitely be disappointed. Fortunately, Kang Yuan and Yuan Su were here. They quickly tried to smooth things over, pulling Bai away. Shurchen, let's go down first. There are still gifts to give later. Don't delay. Chapter 996. Bai saw that there was indeed a group of people below the platform. They had arrived early but had waited for a long time. Bai Qin stuck out his tongue and smiled embarrassedly. Then, he quickly went down with the other two. After that, there were a few people. The leader was an old man who did not have a high cultivation. He was barely a peak superior grade martial monarch and looked very ordinary. A group of people behind him carried a 200-meter-long metal box as they followed the old man with some difficulty. The old man performed a cup-fist salute and said, "On the orders of my clan's young master, Yi Chen, we are here to congratulate you on being conferred king. We have prepared a small gift as a token of our respect." Yi Chen. Xiao Chen had never heard of this name before. Xiahou Ju learned his lesson and asked the black-clad old man for guidance. The other party shook his head, indicating that there was no such person in the Kunlun continent. None of the leaders of the major powers in the Kunlun continent had the surname Yi. Xiahou Ju was now confident that this person's invitation was definitely bought to support Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen could not help but smile coldly to himself. "I don't believe it. Your friends are all major characters. How high can a servant, who is only a peak martial monarch, be?" Originally, Xiao Chen thought that with so many people coming to congratulate him, he would embarrass Xiao Chen greatly before he was officially conferred king. However, who could have imagined that only the Haotian sect of the Tianwu domain would send a big gift? However, this big gift surpassed all of Xiao Chen's gifts. Then, the Fox King's adopted daughter came to send a gift, embarrassing Xiao Chen even further. Since when had Xiao Chen ever lost so much face? Furthermore, he had lost it in front of all the outstanding talents of the world. How could he endure this? Xiao Chen raised his hand and pushed, circulating his law energy. Then, a beam of energy containing holy might shot out. The old man was caught off guard. How could he have expected Xiahou Ju to attack him? He vomited a mouthful of blood and got knocked back. Men. Carefully check this person's invitation and verify his identity. Does he really think that any random person can sneak into my king conferral ceremony? What a scandal. Xiahou Ju's expression was gloomy, but he was secretly pleased with himself. Xiao Chen, let's see how you're going to get out of this situation this time. You're just a character who got in by buying an invitation, and you still have the nerve to come up and give me a gift? Today, I attacked him in front of everyone. What can you do to me? Pa! A resounding slap rang out. Xiao Chen's eyes were overflowing with killing intent. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint, he slapped Xiao Chen. Intolerable, no need to endure anymore. The Holy Lord of White Emperor City secretly made a move on me on my way to being conferred king, causing me to have a narrow escape from death. I almost couldn't make it to this king conferring ceremony. It hadn't been easy for him to rush over, but this fellow had still provoked him time and time again. He had tolerated it time and time again for the sake of the big picture, but this fellow had gone from bad to worse. He had even touched the person sent by his friend to congratulate him. This was a move that no one expected. Before everyone's eyes, Xiao Chen sent the bona fide Holy Scion flying with one slap. Not only was Xiahou Ju stunned by the slap, but everyone present was stunned as well. At the foot of the Bushin Palace, Xiao Chen directly slapped Xiahou Ju into the air before everyone. The slap was very loud and heavy. Everyone in the entire Tianwu Plaza could hear it. Di Wuk, who was sitting with Tian Yushi, was somewhat stunned. He said softly, "He is too sharp. We need to stop him this time. Otherwise, he will really grow stronger." Several people thought the same as Di Wuk. Xiahou Ju clearly wanted to embarrass Xiao Chen, purposely injuring the person who gave him the gift, putting him on the spot. However, who could have imagined that Xiao Chen would be so decisive, using the most intense method to react? "If you dare to hit my person, then I dare to hit your face. If you want to see who is more ruthless, then let's see who is more ruthless. The corpse god's personal disciple, Xing-ju, originally appeared calm, but a murderous intent flashed on his face. No one knew what he was thinking. Some of the people who had conflicts with Xiao Chen and were preparing to cause trouble for Xiao Chen at the king conferral ceremony all showed unsightly expressions. You dare to slap me? Xiao Hoju showed extreme rage on his face. He stretched out his hand, and a tiger roar resounded. The clouds came from the dragon, and the wind came from the tiger. With this roar, a boundless strong wind blew. Wild wind. What kind of wind could truly be called wild? It had to have momentum, boundless momentum, taller than the sky, wider than the earth, vaster than the sea, and more ferocious than the river. The wind that Xiao Hoju gathered with his finger could definitely be called wild. When Xiao Chen pointed, wind blew from all directions. A black whirlpool appeared out of nowhere and sucked Xiao Chen in. Rumble. A strong wind blew, and bolts of lightning streaked across the sky. The clouds pressed down, and heavy rain poured down. Wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. The wind was in front, and the rain was behind. Thunder and lightning flashed and rumbled. The power of this finger used the wind as the foundation, materializing a complete mysterious phenomenon. This instantly increased the might of this finger tenfold. In a rage, Xiao Hoju made his move, materializing the mysterious phenomenon of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning. This mysterious phenomenon directly sucked Xiao Chen in. A wild aura spread out from Xiao Hoju's body. Everyone in the Tianwu Plaza could feel the sharpness and will of Xiao Hoju. There was only one word for it, wild. I really underestimated Xiao Hoju. Unexpectedly, the power of one finger is so strong. He is the Holy Land scion, after all. I wonder how Xiao Chen is doing in there. He probably isn't having a good time. Xiao Hoju's finger gathered momentum too quickly. The wind blew, the rain arrived, and lightning followed. There is no way to dodge within 100 meters. The sudden berserk Xiao Hoju changed the situation in the plaza. It seemed like a fierce battle was about to begin. When Xiao Chen attacked, the strength that he displayed startled everyone. Unexpectedly, he instantly sucked in Xiao Chen. Everyone wondered what was going on with Xiao Chen in there. Bright moonlight flew out from the black whirlpool. A full moon hung high in the sky. The sky slowly turned dark. A perfect night, a perfect moon, lonely, cold, and calm. A cool breeze blew, and the saber sounded like music, like a zither or a flute. It rang out continuously as if the cool breeze was echoing at the top of a mountain. Calm and collected, unflustered in the face of danger. If he was wild, let him be wild. The bright moon illuminates the river. If he was wild, let him be wild. The cool breeze blows the mountain. One's aura will eventually run out. Look at him being wild. I will not move. When I move, the wind scatters, the rain shatters, the thunder shatters, and the lightning shatters. Xiao Hoju's expression changed slightly. The might of this finger was tyrannical to the 9 heavens. However, it was like he had struck a ball of cotton, grabbing nothing. The might of one move was, after all, only one move. If he wanted to continue, he would have to change moves. With a thought, Xiao Hoju formed a hand seal with one hand, wanting to change moves again. Boom! However, just as Xiao Chen's finger's might ran out, a saber light shot out from the black whirlpool. The violent winds suddenly dissipated, and the thunderstorm that was triggered by the wind naturally collapsed along with it. The seemingly berserk attack broke when a strand of saber light appeared. Just as Xiao Hoju was about to launch his second finger attack, Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and took the initiative to attack. The bright moon in the sky turned into a strand of saber chi and launched a sneak attack. Xiao Hoju could only scatter his energy to defend. This strand of saber light knocked Xiao Chen back again. Blood leaked out of a corner of his lips, he was significantly injured. Young Master Xia, the invitation is real. The young master of the Heavenly Starry Ocean's Northern Sea Alliance's alliance chief personally sent people. Just as Xiao Hoju raged in his heart and got to his feet, preparing to fight Xiao Chen. The Bushan Palace's people had already checked the old man's invitation and announced the results. How can this be? How can this group of people be from the Northern Sea Alliance? Xiao Hoju felt somewhat dizzy. All his fighting spirit vanished, replaced by a chill. To think that he was from the Northern Sea Alliance. The Northern Sea Alliance was far from the Kunlun continent. No wonder Xiao Chen had never heard of the name Yi Chen. However, Xiao Chen had heard of the Northern Sea Alliance before. It was a super faction of the Heavenly Starry Ocean. In terms of strength and accumulations, it was weaker than Bushan Palace. However, it was much stronger than Xiao Chen's White Emperor City. Misfortune truly did not come alone. First, Xiao Chen offended the Fox King's adoptive daughter. Then, he offended the Northern Sea Alliance's people. What kind of demonic existences were Xiao Chen's friends? The gazes of the others on Xiao Hoju turned from sympathy to pity. With the various factions coming to congratulate Xiao Chen, White Emperor City had made ample preparations. The various major factions of the Tianwu domain had come out one after another, putting Xiao Hoju in the limelight. However, when it was Xiao Chen's turn, Shui Lingling immediately defeated Xiao Hoju. Not only did Xiao Chen lose face, but he also offended the Fox King and the Northern Sea Alliance, two major factions. Old sir, are you alright? After slapping the other party, Xiao Chen had vented some of his frustration. He could not be bothered to waste time with the other party anymore. He quickly walked over to the old man that Xiao Hoju injured. The old man smiled and said, "The injuries are not serious. After recuperating for a while, he will be fine." Young Master said that young Master Xiao is a loyal person. Indeed, it is true. This big gift is worth it. Open the box. Young Master Xiao, please appreciate this big gift. My young master's gift will not embarrass the Northern Sea Alliance. Even with 10-odd peak martial monarchs carrying the 200-meter-long metal box, they still found it hard to do so. What exactly was in the box? Many people had long been curious about this mysterious metal box. It seemed like each of Xiao Chen's friends was more incredible than the last. The Fox King's adopted daughter already gave a Holy Spirit vein. Could the things in the metal box compare to a Holy Spirit vein? Upon hearing the order to open the box, the cultivators carrying it all heaved a sigh of relief. With a flip of their hands, they opened the mechanism. The huge metal box's lid sprang open. Roar! The instant the box was opened, a dragon roar that had been suppressed for a long time came from the metal box. The surroundings trembled, and a surging dragon might spread out in all directions. This was different from the dragon might that ordinary cultivators imitated. This was the most primitive dragon might. It gave off an ancient and desolate aura, as if it had been many tens of thousands of years. The voice of a true dragon. What is in there? It has such a horrifying dragon might. Could it be the spine of a true dragon? A 200-meter-long true dragon spine. That is too exaggerated. In that case, how big was the true dragon when it was alive? The bones of a true dragon were worth cities. Their rarity went without saying. Among the bones, the spine of a true dragon was the most precious. Chapter 997. Back then, Anjuanshi had obtained a rare spine and forged it into a subdivine weapon, the true dragon lightning whip. That spine was no more than 10 meters long, but it was already extremely rare and could be made into a subdivine weapon. The true dragon spine before Xiao Chen was 200 meters long. How horrifying would its value be? As the saying went, dragons lurked in the depths. This saying was true. Probably only the Northern Sea Alliance could find such a long true dragon spine in the world. The large metal box quickly closed. Xiao Chen felt somewhat startled. This gift was too heavy, so heavy that he did not dare to accept it. Young Master Xiao, there is no need to worry. You saved my clan's young master's life in the heavenly ruin wasteland, so you deserve this gift. Furthermore, my clan's young master values his friends the most. Since young master Shao is conferred the Blue Dragon King, you should be worthy of this King of Dragon's Spine. The black-clad old man spoke leisurely. From his tone, it was clear that he had a good impression of Xiao Chen. Clearly, Xiao Chen's earlier slap had helped this old man vent his frustrations. Not far away, Xiao Hoju's eyes popped out. He thought to himself, trash, a pile of trash. This trash was not a gift that Xiao Chen had received. Instead, it was something that he had received himself. Compared to Xiao Chen, it could not even be considered trash. Now, Xiao Chen seemed to understand what a friend was. The White Emperor City's holy lord stood at the peak of the Tianwu domain. He relied on his reputation to get the 100 sects of the Tianwu domain to congratulate him. These people were not related to Xiao Chen at all. They only came because of the holy lord. How could they really give him a congratulatory gift on the level of a charming treasure? However, although Xiao Chen's friends were few in number, they were all friendships that he had obtained with his life on the line. In the future, if these friends were in trouble, Xiao Chen would definitely help them, not hesitating to go through water or tread on fire. Of the many people who came to congratulate him, one was a casual acquaintance who congratulated him for face. The other was a friend who had gone through life and death with him. Even if Xiao Chen's friends only gave him a pile of junk, it would still be 10,000 times better than his pile of flashy but impractical things. The people of the Northern Sea Alliance withdrew. The young master of the Muddy Sky Gate, one of the 3 peak sects of the Primal Chaos Domain, Qi Wuxue, sent someone to deliver his congratulatory gift. Xiahou Ju was no stranger to the Muddy Sky sect. Its strength was almost the same as the current White Emperor City, but it lacked some resources. These were the people sent by the 3 overlords of the Primal Chaos Domain. Xiahou Ju did not dare to underestimate them. But now, even if an ordinary person came, Xiahou Ju would not dare to do anything excessive. His face was trembling, and he didn't dare to look at the gifts that the others had given to Xiao Chen. The more he looked at them, the sadder he felt. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that what he had accepted was a pile of trash, and that he was just finding trouble in his heart. What Qi Wuxue asked someone to deliver was the beautiful mountain and river painting. Back in the heavenly ruin wasteland, the few major factions had worked together to fight over it. In the end, the Muddy Sky Gate ended up winning it. This was another valuable treasure. When everyone saw it, their eyes turned bloodshot with fervent expressions. Following that, the corpse race White Bone Sovereign's descendant, the Dragon Man, delivered his congratulatory gift. However, this Dragonman's gift was rather special. It was a note. This note recorded the traces of the Despair Throne, which the Dragon Man had found in the heavenly starry ocean. This was useful and practical information to Xiao Chen. Congratulations. This lady does not have much to give, so I will give you a soul-gathering pearl. The ghost race's Qing Qing stepped forward and delivered her congratulatory gift. Although Qing Qing spoke casually, it still caused a significant commotion. What was the use of a soul-gathering pearl? When a person died, their 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls would immediately scatter. A soul-gathering pearl could ensure that the soul would not scatter for 7 days. If one's physical body did not deteriorate within 7 days, it could create a heaven-defying miracle of resurrection. At this moment, everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at Xiao Chen. It was like they were looking at a human-shaped treasure trove. If anyone managed to rob Xiao Chen, they would obtain boundless wealth. Young Master Xiao, a stranger asked me to pass this painting to you during the king conferral ceremony. Congratulations on being conferred king. A fiend race cultivator that Xiao Chen did not recognize stepped forward and handed him a painting. Xiao Chen unfurled the painting, feeling somewhat confused. The painting was only black and white. It depicted the scene behind the Bridge of Helplessness in the 9 layers of purgatory. Behind the headless Kitagarbha Bodhisattva, an azure-clad man was looking at the fragments of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Xiao Chen could only see his back, not his appearance. Aside from this, there was nothing special about it. It was just a very simple painting. With so many people, Xiaochen found it strange. However, he did not show it on his face. He carefully put away the painting and said to the person who came, "Many thanks. This painting is very important to me. An old friend of mine gave it to me." The person who came smiled and said, "Young Master Xiao is too polite. It was just a slight effort on my part." Not many people came to give congratulatory gifts to Xiaochen. Compared to Xiao Hoju's many sects, it was much more deserted. However, at this point, everyone knew that the main character of the king conferral ceremony had already changed from Xiao Hoju to Xiaochen. Or rather, the main character had never changed. This was Xiaochen's king conferral ceremony. Just when everyone thought that the shock was over, a congratulatory gift from the chaotic demonic sea shocked everyone again, flabbergasting them. The newly crowned empress of the chaotic demonic sea's merfolk race sent a congratulatory gift for Xiaochen's king conferral, the emperor-grade secret treasure Neptune's crown. This was a bona fide emperor-grade secret treasure. Furthermore, it was a secret treasure that Neptune used back then. As Xiaochen received Neptune's crown, he knew that Yao Yan already had the Thorn Sovereign Circlet and that this Neptune's crown was unnecessary. However, this was an emperor-grade secret treasure, an emperor-grade secret treasure that Neptune used in the past. Yet, Yao Yan gave it away just like that. It looked like Xiaochen felt guilty about what happened in the Neptune Palace. The segment of congratulatory gifts finally came to an end. Compared to the two, Xiao Hoju was utterly embarrassed, like a joke. In the distant honored guest stands, the Phoenix's Passion Palace's Nuan Muyun and the Divine Martial Gate's Feng Wuji both revealed expressions of lingering fear. Back then, the three holy masters intended to send out one person to suppress Xiaochen. Because the two did not have much ambition, they did not care about it, so they gave it to Xiao Hoju. If they had not rejected it back then, the one standing on the platform would have been them. When they thought about what happened to Xiao Hoju today, they all trembled in fear. Nuan Muyun sighed softly. Xiao Hoju is a little too obsessed with these external things. He places too much importance on these external things. If his heart is a little more relaxed, with his talent, his strength can go a step further. Feng Wuji shook his head and said, "He has always been the strongest person of the human race's younger generation." When he met with Xiaochen, who appeared out of nowhere, his mentality became unstable. Actually, this is understandable. Today's matter might not only be bad for him. Nuan Muyun looked around and said calmly, "This Xiaochen is indeed strong. However, he has made too many enemies, and his sharpness is too strong. There might be variables in his king conferral." "What variables?" Nuan Muyun pointed in a direction and said, "Look over there. That pale-faced youth in black is the Dongyue Ghost Emperor's personal disciple, Xie Zishuan." From the moment Xiaochen arrived, the killing qi in his eyes never disappeared. "Look over there. That is the Corpse God Palace's heaven-punishing Corpse God's disciple, Xingju. He is the strongest person of the corpse race's younger generation." When Xiaochen made his move earlier, I also noticed the killing qi in his eyes. There is also Diwuk. Even now, I still cannot see through him. I wonder what he is planning. The backers of these three are the strongest experts of the Kunlun realm. They are the most ambitious. How could they just watch as Xiaochen is conferred king? As for the descendants of the other sovereign martial emperors, there is no telling if he can successfully obtain the Blue Dragon King's insignia. Feng Wuji looked in the direction Nuan Muyun pointed. When he heard what she said, surprise appeared on his face. Clearly, he had not expected Xiaochen to have so many strong enemies. The Dongyue Ghost Emperor, Emperor Forsaken, and Xingtian were all experts who were as famous as the Thunder King. Before Diwuk and the other two came, they might have received instructions from them. Next was the conferment of the king's insignia. With this insignia, Xiaochen would gain the Bushin Palace's recognition. Xiaochen's conferment of the Blue Dragon King would be thoroughly acknowledged. Xiao Hoju should be able to obtain this insignia very easily. However, if Shao Chen wanted to obtain it, it would be somewhat difficult. Before obtaining the insignia, the Bushan Palace allowed cultivators of the same generation to challenge the conferment of king. Under normal circumstances, on account of the Bushan Palace, they would stop at a certain point and exchange pointers. However, right now, the Bushan Palace, which was under the control of the three holy masters, clearly did not support Shao Chen, nearly shedding all pretense of cordiality. Shao Chen could no longer rely on the big tree that was the Bushan Palace. He could only rely on himself now. A pretty maidservant stepped forward, carrying a tray with the White Tiger King's insignia on it. It flickered with a silver light, giving off a treasured light. This was an extremely high-quality secret treasure in itself. After the oath of loyalty was completed, the pretty maidservant picked up the White Tiger King's insignia and prepared to pin it on Xiao Hoju's chest. Once it was pinned on, Xiao Hoju would be able to openly call himself the White Tiger King from now on. Chi. When the insignia was completely imprinted on Shao Chen's chest, it turned into a white tiger and merged with his clothes. His white tiger battle armor also underwent some changes, seeming to be filled with more spirituality. As expected, he was successfully conferred king, and no one came to challenge him. Standing at the side, Xiao Hoju glanced at Shao Chen and said, "Please, according to the Bushan Palace's rules, once you fail to be conferred king, all the congratulatory gifts will have to be returned. I look forward to your exciting expression at that time. This kind of person would always wait to see you make a fool of yourself. As long as you stumbled slightly, they would hit you while you were down and mock you with all their might." The maidservant brought the Blue Dragon King's insignia. The insignia was green in color and had the image of a dragon engraved on it. It gave off a faint green light, misty and dreamy. Under the guidance of the black-clad old man, Shao Chen completed the oath of loyalty ceremony. After the old man recited some cumbersome words, he said, "Time has passed. The Blue Dragon King's insignia has been covered in dust for tens of thousands of years. Now, I bestow it to you. I hope you cherish it and take care of it." Humph! How noble is the title of Blue Dragon King! To think that the Bushan Palace would so casually bestow it on a nobody. I, Ren Kongjue, will not accept this. A cold shout rang out, and a tall and sturdy figure landed heavily on the platform. It was the Kwafu clan's Ren Kongjue. Bang! When Ren Kongjue landed, it was like a mountain crashing down, creating a loud sound. Dust flew up, and a shock wave split mountains. The compressed space rippled like water as it surged out. "It's here," Shao Chen thought to himself as calm as still water, "it's here. The one that should come finally came. I will settle all the grudges of the past in this king conferral ceremony. Anyone who obstructs me from being conferred king will be defeated by me. No one will be able to escape my defeat." Who was Ren Kongjue? He was an outstanding talent of the ancient Kwafu clan. He had appeared in recent years. The moment he appeared, he shone brightly in the starry heaven's silver lake, daring to compete with Diwok. The sand and dust that Ren Kongjue kicked up could split mountains. One could easily imagine how strong he was. Chapter 998. Bang! Shao Chen stretched out his hand and pointed. A saber light flashed like the moon, easily splitting the sandstorm surging over in half. Ren Kongjue was tall and stout, with a thick waist and strong legs. Just by standing there, he gave off an intense pressure. When the black-clad old man saw the situation, he rejoiced. He smiled and said, "My Bushan Palace has always been fair when conferring kings. We never fear challenges from others. Shao Chen, if you embarrass the Bushan Palace, then there is really no need for you to wear the Blue Dragon King's insignia." Shui Lingling bit her lip, showing a grave expression. The most crucial hurdle had finally arrived. The other party used the righteousness of the Bushan Palace to suppress Shao Chen. He was clearly a vile person, but his words were righteous and dignified, making it impossible for Shao Chen to find an excuse to rebut him. Although there had been challenges in the past conferring kings, the Bushan Palace had always used its strong influence to inform the various experts in advance. All they needed to do was to stop when necessary, and there would not be any major chaos. Now that Shao Chen was being conferred king, the Bushan Palace naturally would not stand up for him. If they were not careful, they would not be able to continue with the conferring of king. The three holy masters could not openly stop Shao Chen from being conferred king. They could only use some underhanded moves in secret. However, it had to be said that this move was very effective. First, they sent people to block off Shao Chen, not letting him arrive on time. Even if he managed to arrive, he would still face the challenges of various enemies. Eventually, they would run out of manpower. Then, they would exhaust Shao Chen, forcing him to give up on being conferred king. I, Wei Hua, am not convinced, either. Seeing the black-clad old man's clear attitude, the underworld fire sovereign, Wei Hua, made up his mind. He leaped up and arrived at the platform. I, Kue Do, am not convinced, either. Shao Chen, you are not qualified to be conferred king. The Iron Hand sovereign's descendant's figure flashed and arrived at the platform as well. Immediately, three outstanding talents stood on the platform. All of them had very scary backgrounds. Behind them stood sovereign martial emperors. The cultivators in the surrounding spectator stands were all startled. Shao Chen's friends were all ridiculously monstrous, but his opponents were also all terrifyingly valiant. If an ordinary person offended one of them, they wouldn't have a good life in the future. However, Shao Chen had offended three of them in one go. Now, Shao Chen's path to becoming a king would be somewhat uncertain. So. It was not over yet. Two people flew over from the sky. They were the Primal Chaos Domain's heavenly music sect Xia Dongyang and the Frost Moon Palace's Shao Qinghan. The two stood side by side and said simply, not convinced, expressing their stance. The Heavenly Music Sect and the Frost Moon Palace were peak factions of the Primal Chaos Domain. These two sects had sovereign martial emperors. Even in the entire Kunlun realm, they were extremely strong factions. Fuck, isn't this a little too exaggerated? 5 absolute geniuses appearing at the same time. Who among the same generation can withstand such a lineup? This is too extreme. It looks like the Bushan Palace did not intend to let Shao Chen be conferred king from the start. Otherwise, they would not have sent these people invitations. The Blue Dragon King's title will probably continue to be covered in dust. Such a conferment of king is probably the most difficult in the history of the Bushan Palace. In the next moment, Shao Chen, who had enjoyed boundless glory, fell into dire straits before everyone's eyes. Many people sighed softly, feeling that it was unfair for Shao Chen's situation. In the distance, the disciples and inheritors of the East Mountain Ghost Monarch, the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign, and the East Mountain Ghost Monarch, the corpse god Xingju, and the heaven-abandoning deity sovereign did not make a move, watching coldly. These people had very sharp eyes. They could tell that Shao Chen was somewhat different today, so they did not rashly make a move. However, once they saw an opportunity, they would not hesitate to kill. If the people outside knew that these three people were dissatisfied with Shao Chen being conferred king, who knew how shocked they would be? When Xiao Hoju saw this scene, he could not help but rejoice. Heaven is helping me. In the end, I, Xiao Hoju, am still the main character of today's king conferral ceremony. Shao Chen, no matter how many friends you have, no matter how impressive your congratulatory gifts are, you still have to return them if you fail to be conferred king. If you fail to be conferred king, it will probably be a shadow in the other party's heart, preventing them from advancing to martial emperor for the rest of their lives. The black-clad old man was slightly stunned. Clearly, he had not expected so many people with powerful backgrounds to be dissatisfied with Shao Chen's conferral of king. The black-clad old man could not help thinking, although the Thunder King does not care about anything and is in closed-door cultivation most of the time, if the Thunder King really kills the person that the Thunder King appointed, it will be hard to explain to the three holy masters. Shao Chen, it looks like you do not have enough prestige. So many people are not satisfied with you. You should leave the Blue Dragon King's insignia to the Bushan Palace for now, the black-clad old man said after some thought. The black-clothed old man said in a deep voice as he put away the azure dragon badge. Xiaochen remained expressionless as he retorted rudely, "It is just a few nobodies barking here and there. It means that I do not have enough prestige. Old mister, I think you're either senile or blind." Xiao Hoju berated, "Xiaochen, how bold of you. You are not conferred king yet, and you already dare to speak rudely to the seniors of the Bushan Palace. The old sir could not bear to see you beaten to death by others, so he advised you kindly. However, you do not appreciate it. Instead, you insulted him. How bold of you." Xiaochen could not help guffawing. "What a great, I do not appreciate it. You know the truth in your heart. If you think that I am bold, then I will be bold for once. A piece of trash like you is not worthy of being conferred the White Tiger King." Bang! Ignoring the 5 people at the side, Xiaochen turned around and charged at Xiao Hoju instead. Xiaochen's body was like a saber, its sharpness changing. His simple palm strike was like a saber everywhere. The wind blew in all directions, and the saber's edge was endless. Xiao Hoju felt that Xiaochen's palm strike was filled with killing intent. There was nowhere to hide, nowhere to hide. However, Xiao Hoju's cultivation was deep. He was already a Grandmaster-level martial sage, so he did not panic. He believed that he would not have any problem exchanging 100 moves with Xiaochen. After 10 moves, the 5 people at the side would definitely not be able to resist attacking. At that time, they would be able to cripple Xiaochen. Xiao Hoju pointed, and a strong wind blew. A strong light shot out, trying to block Xiaochen. However, something strange happened. While Xiaochen's palm strike looked ordinary, it was like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. It swept away all of Xiao Hoju's attacks. By the time Xiao Hoju reacted, Xiaochen had already stretched out his hand and grabbed his wrist. Instantly, thousands of sabers flew over. Xiao Hoju's white tiger battle armor flickered with light, riddling it with thousands of holes. The White Tiger King insignia that Xiaochen had just imprinted on fell off with a ka-cie sound. Xiaochen swung his hand, and 25,000 tons of force burst out. Xiao Hoju flew back like a meteor. Before he could react, he was flung away, disappearing without a trace. As the crowd watched, it seemed like Xiaochen flew past the vast Tianwu city, continuing to fly forward without stopping for a long time. Xiaochen crashed into a mountain 50 kilometers outside the city, splitting it in half. Xiao Hoju vomited a large mouthful of blood as he struggled to push aside the heavy rocks on his body. Then, he looked around in confusion. Strange peaks rose up in the desolate mountains, stretching out endlessly. Grass and trees supported the sky, but there was no one in sight. After coughing twice and vomiting a few more mouthfuls of blood, Xiao Hoju cursed, "Damn it! What is this place?" 1 second ago, Xiaochen was still in the bustling Tianwu Plaza filled with flowers. How did he end up in a desolate mountain range in the next second? This was a completely different world. Xiaochen could not think straight. Xiaochen turned his gaze back to the Tianwu Plaza. Although Xiaochen's attack was short, when he used his full power, his cultivation was completely exposed. Great Grandmaster-level martial sage. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen is already a great Grandmaster-level martial sage. No wonder he could defeat Xiao Hoju with one palm strike when he was caught off guard. Everyone was startled. A great Grandmaster-level martial sage. Xiaochen actually reached great Grandmaster-level martial sage without anyone noticing. Even the peak of the younger generation was only a Grandmaster-level martial sage. How exactly did this person cultivate? The black-clad old man looked at Xiao Hoju, who had been tossed somewhere. He trembled in anger and said, You are really bold. You even dare to make a move on the newly advanced White Tiger King of the Bushan Palace." Xiaochen held the White Tiger King's insignia and said calmly, "The Bushan Palace has always been fair and does not fear challenges from others. Is old sir's words just nonsense?" The black-clad old man felt stifled. He was indeed the one who said those words. However, who could have imagined that Xiao Chen would immediately challenge Xiao Hoju and even toss him away in one move? Xiao Chen could not be bothered with this black-clad old man. With a flip of his hand, the lunar shadow saber appeared in his grasp. Then, he stabbed the scabbard into the ground. Bang! The top of the scabbard struck the ground heavily, and cracks spread out. Xiao Chen's white robes fluttered as he grasped the saber hilt. A boundless aura surged out together with this heavy sound. Ren Kongjue and the others could not help but take a step back. Who still dares to say that they are not convinced? Xiao Chen said indifferently as he looked calmly at the 5 people before him. Who still dares to say that they are not convinced? Xiao Chen's words were very casual. His gaze was as calm as still water. He only looked at the 5 people before him indifferently, not showing any sharpness. However, that flash of the aura of a great grandmaster level martial sage easily broke Xiao Hoju's finger wind. All of this put a huge pressure on them. Ren Kongjue and the others felt a sense of oppression, like something was stuck in their throats. They could not say that they were not convinced. Silence. When they looked around, no one said anything. Nearly everyone was shocked by Xiao Chen's words. One person, one saber, and one sentence pressured the 5 outstanding talents to the point that they broke out in a cold sweat and lost all their sharpness. Isn't it just a great grandmaster level martial sage? It's not like I have never killed great grandmaster level martial sages before. This old man is not convinced that you are the Blue Dragon King. What do you dare to do? The Kwafu race had always had a fiery temper. Ren Kongjue could no longer endure this oppressive aura, so he roared loudly. All outstanding talents had the ability to fight above their cultivation realm. As a peak superior grade martial sage, Xiao Chen could fight against great grandmaster level martial sages. Ren Kongjue was a grandmaster level martial sage. Furthermore, the Kwafu race had a horrifying physical body. Naturally, he could kill some great grandmaster level martial sages. Ren Kongjue's words were not false. However, he seemed to have forgotten. Perhaps he had forgotten on purpose. Like him, Xiao Chen was a demonic genius. Xiao Chen's talent, comprehension ability, and luck were higher. How could he compare to an ordinary great grandmaster level martial sage? Even if Ren Kongjue had not advanced to great grandmaster level martial sage, Xiao Chen would still be able to hold his own against him. Now that Ren Kongjue had advanced to great grandmaster level martial sage, he would not stand any chance of victory against Xiao Chen. After Ren Kongjue cursed, he charged at Xiao Chen. Ren Kongjue's body was like a mountain. When he moved, it was like a mountain was uprooted. Loud rumbles resounded in the air. Chapter 999. The momentum of Ren Kongjue's charge caused space to tremble, forming lake-like waves. Regular opponents did not even need to get close. Just this momentum alone would be enough to defeat them and cause them to vomit blood. The strong ancient races did not have any innate abilities. How could they be called a strong ancient race? Xiao Chen was not surprised at all. He had been waiting for Ren Kongjue. These people before him were just appetizers. The true powerhouses were seated behind, watching coldly. If Xiao Chen could put in less effort here, he would have a higher chance of victory. If these 5 people attacked together, even though Xiao Chen was a great grandmaster level martial sage, he would have to put in a lot of effort to deal with these prepared outstanding talents. It would be much easier to deal with Ren Kongjue alone, a raging Ren Kongjue at that. The wave-like space pressed down on everything. However, it did not have much effect on Xiao Chen's rank 4 sage body. He did not move at all. His eyes focused on the trajectory of Ren Kongjue's attacks. With a flip of Xiao Chen's hand, the lunar shadow saber under his palm spun quickly. A strong wind blew, kicking up sand and rocks on the platform. The calm Xiao Chen suddenly burst forth with a torrential aura. As the lunar shadow saber spun, this aura slowly expanded. The compressed space before Xiao Chen reversed. Ren Kongjue, who was charging over like a tall mountain, paused. He was clearly caught off guard by the reversed wind. Bang! The instant Renkongjue paused, less than a tenth of a breath, the spinning lunar shadow saber under Xiao Chen's palm stopped spinning as well. Then, a saber light lit up, looking as resplendent as the sun. The entire platform was encased in white light. When the light vanished and everything calmed down, everyone saw that Xiao Chen was holding the sheathed lunar shadow saber. The tip of the scabbard tapped Renkongjue's forehead. Blood flowed out of his forehead and covered his face. In the time it took for a spark to fly, aside from a few people, no one could clearly see when Xiao Chen's saber stopped spinning and when he attacked. Renkongjue only saw a flash of saber light and then extinguished it. The insufferably arrogant Renkongjue did not even dare to move a single step. He panted heavily, his complexion pale. You don't even have the right to make me draw my blade, and you still dare to be dissatisfied? Xiao Chen's voice was cold, like the god of death. Go back. The lunar shadow saber pressed down and pressed against Renkongjue's chest. Renkongjue spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. He landed on the ground and rolled a few times before falling off the king ceremony stage. Kue Do, Wei Hua, and the other three, who were still standing on the platform, felt like they were standing on pins and needles. This was especially so when Xiao Chen shifted his gaze to the fore. They were in a dilemma. Who could have thought that Xiao Chen had advanced to the great grandmaster level martial sage realm? Who could have thought that Renkongjue would be defeated in one move, rolling back, beaten until he did not have the slightest temper? Who dared to say that they were dissatisfied? The four's words echoed in their ears. After what happened to Renkongjue and Xiao Hoju, how could they dare to say that they were dissatisfied? However, before so many pairs of eyes, they put down their pride and retreated. The four thought about how they had displayed their sharpness before coming here. They had said the words, "I am dissatisfied," very loudly and energetically. Now, they had to run back with their tails between their legs. How unbearable would that be? Who dares to say that they are dissatisfied? White-robed Xiao Chen, with such boldness, no wonder you even dared to kill the people of my astral palace. A cold voice resounded, and starlight filled the sky. A pretty figure walked over from outside the king's ceremony stage. This figure wore long black clothes that looked like night draped over her body. It showed off her charming figure, inspiring wild and fanciful thoughts. A pale white star was embroidered on this figure's clothes. It gave off a cold light and flowed with starlight. This set of clothes had an extraordinary origin. This figure slowly walked over, resplendent starlight. As night fell, cold chi assaulted everyone, turning their breath into frost. Soon, this figure arrived at the platform conferring king. She stopped, and the starlight stopped. Then, she introduced herself, Zodiac Hall's Fu Hongyao. Whether you are conferred king or not has nothing to do with me. However, you killed the people of my astral palace. Today, you have to give me an explanation. Who is this person? How come I've never heard of her before? Most people did not recognize Fu Hongyao. However, they vaguely felt that she was extraordinary. This was especially so for the astral robes she wore, which were definitely extraordinary. When Wei Hua and the other three saw that someone had appeared to distract the others, they quickly slipped away, not willing to linger. Fu Hongyao. Unexpectedly, she is here as well. She is the successor of Zodiac Hall's Moon Palace. Zodiac Hall was a huge faction of the Heavenly Starry Ocean. It occupied the southern Heavenly Starry Ocean. With its strength alone, it could contend with a giant like the Northern Sea Alliance. The Zodiac Hall had more than 100 astral palaces under it, some strong and some weak. The Sun Palace and Moon Palace were the two strongest factions. Some people in the Primal Chaos domain had heard of Fu Hongyao's name. There were still people in the Tianwu Plaza who recognized her. This was a major character of the Heavenly Starry Ocean's younger generation. Fu Hongyao went straight to the point. Did the senior brothers of my Big Dipper Palace die at your hands? There was nothing wrong with admitting it. That group of people wanted to kill him, so he casually killed them. He did not feel any guilt, so Xiao Chen admitted it honestly. Fu Hongyao's gaze turned cold. She said coldly, "You are rather straightforward, not showing any fear. However, you still have to die." Right after Fu Hongyao spoke, she clenched the air with her right hand and waved. The dark astral robes she wore turned into a lunar astral banner in her hand. A beam of starlight shot down from the mysterious lunar astral banner in the distant starry sky. After losing his outer clothes, Fu Hongyao's snow-white skin was exposed. She waved the banner pole, and the night-like banner encased Xiao Chen, trying to suck him in. This sudden change caught many people off guard. They all cried out in surprise. Fu Hongyao's move was too unexpected. How could Xiao Chen dodge it? However, even though Fu Hongyao was fast, Xiao Chen was even faster. The instant Fu Hongyao waved the banner pole, Xiao Chen drew the lunar shadow saber with his right hand. Instantly, a boundless saber intent appeared. The saber light was like the sun and the night, scattering. The astral banner in Fu Hongyao's hand flew out of his hand. After sheathing the saber, Xiao Chen waved his right hand and pulled the astral banner over. If I had any fear in my heart, how could I have come to this king conferral ceremony? If you want to take revenge for those people, you alone will only be sufficient for me to draw my saber. I'll help you call a few more people over. Xie Zixuan, Xing Ju, Di Wuk, how long are the three of you going to keep watching? Are you not even comparable to a woman? Xiao Chen's gaze went past Fu Hongyao and looked at the inheritors of Dongyue Ghost Emperor, Xingtian, and Emperor Forsaken. Then, he directly challenged them. The moment Xiao Chen said that, everyone was shocked. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen did not care about Fu Hongyao at all. He directly challenged the three most talented outstanding talents of the same generation. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to fight against these three powerful outstanding talents alone? When Fu Hongyao saw Xiao Chen stretch out his hand and grab her lunar astral banner, he did not even look at her. Instead, he looked outside, completely ignoring her. She could not help but become enraged. Lunar astral banner, come back. Fu Hongyao shouted, and the lunar astral banner turned into black clothes. Then, like a clump of black mist, it left Xiao Chen's hand and flew towards her. A strange look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. However, he did not stop her, letting her take it. He sheathed the lunar shadow saber and stabbed it back into the ground. Then, he propped it up with one hand and looked at Di Wuk, Xie Zixuan, and Di Wuk. After weighing the pros and cons, Xiao Chen had his own considerations for challenging these three people in one go. After weighing the pros and cons, he would only expose his trump cards one by one, leaving the last person a chance to take advantage of him. Xiao Chen might as well fight all three at once. With his cultivation as a great grandmaster level martial sage, rank 4 sage body, vital chi of 5 dragon force, and magic energy that filled his sea of consciousness, he had at least a 50% chance of victory. This king conferral was a great opportunity for Xiao Chen. If he succeeded, his king grade true dragon's luck could turn into an emperor grade true dragon. From then on, his luck would flourish, and no one in the younger generation would be able to compete with him. If he failed, he would not be able to escape this calamity. His luck would fall to rock bottom, and it would be very difficult for him to climb back up. Anyone who tried to stop him from conferring a dragon would be defeated by him. The title of the blue dragon belongs to me alone, existing only for me. Since you want to die so much, then I, Xie Zixuan, will grant you your wish. Xie Zixuan, who could no longer hold back his killing chi, shouted coldly. He left behind a clump of ghostly fog. Then, the ghostly fog flashed, and Xie Zixuan appeared on the platform with 8 sabers on his back. Xiao Chen's other movement techniques were unfathomable. This is ghostly shadow steps, the famous martial technique of the Dongyue Ghost Emperor. It requires extremely high talent to practice. Xie Zixuan is not even 30 years old, and he actually managed to practice it. I heard that this movement technique creates a ghostly shadow with each step. Each ghostly shadow is a clone. After reaching great perfection, one can walk 99,000 steps, unfathomable and unending. The moment Xie Zishuan appeared, his strange movement technique attracted everyone's attention. Xiao Chen's gaze turned sullen as he looked at Xiao Chen, not hiding his killing qi at all. Previously, in the 9 layers of purgatory, Xiao Chen had just advanced to Grandmaster level martial sage and his cultivation was unstable. Due to his carelessness, he got severely injured by Xiao Chen's 20 Dragon Force punch. That incident was still fresh in his mind. Furthermore, this person before Xiao Chen was very close to Ghost Empress Shisun's faction. No matter how Xiao Chen looked at it, he absolutely could not let the other party succeed in being conferred king under his nose. Ha! I have long heard of the Blue Dragon King's descendant, the white-robed King Xiao Chen. I, Xing Ju, will come and test you out as well. The first disciple of the Xingtian Ghost Emperor, Xing Ju, smiled faintly and took a step forward, landing on the platform. At this moment, only Diwuk did not move. Everyone immediately focused their attention on him, wanting to see the leader of the younger generation. How would Xiao Chen react after being looked down on by Xiao Chen? At this moment, Diwuk felt very complicated. The person who was once like an ant to him actually dared to challenge him before everyone. Furthermore, Xiao Chen did not challenge Xiao Chen alone. He even added Xie Zishuan and Xing Ju to the challenge. I'll go with you, Tian Yushi, who was at the side, said softly. When Diwuk heard that, he felt stunned. Then, he waved his hand and said, there's no need. If he challenges us one by one, he might survive. If he challenges us all together, he will not stand a chance at all. Boom! Diwuk stood up, and the image of a deity's nation appeared behind him. Thousands of praises rang out. Diwuk did not land on the ground. Instead, he stood on the divine kingdom and flew to the platform, looking down at Xiao Chen from above. Diwuk is making a move as well. 3 powerful geniuses and Zodiac Hall's Fu Hongxue. This is going to be a good show. From the start of the king conferral ceremony until now, there had been many twists and turns. After one wave came another. Originally, Xiao Chen thought that Xiao Chen, who came in a hurry, would embarrass himself greatly in front of everyone's congratulations. Who knew, he would snatch away Xiao Hoju's limelight from the start. Chapter 1000. The people at the back were not convinced. The descendants of several sovereign martial emperors went up the platform together, trying to force Xiao Chen to give up on the Blue Dragon King title. However, Xiao Chen attacked in a rage, displaying the aura of a great grandmaster-level martial sage. With one strike, he left Xiao Hoju in the dust. The story should have ended here. However, Xiao Chen challenged 3 powerful outstanding talents again. The atmosphere instantly reached a climax. Normally, it was rare for Xie Zishuan and the others to gather together. It was impossible for them to deal with someone of the same generation at the same time. Today, such an impossible scene had appeared on the king's ceremony platform. Xiao Chen's chances of victory were pitifully small. However, no one dared to say that Xiao Chen would definitely lose. If this person, who had created many miracles along the way, won today, he would surpass the young Qing emperor. Don't fight with me. I can deal with this brat alone. He is just a great grandmaster-level martial sage. I do not care about him at all. To think that he dares to say that he is not convinced. Today, I am not convinced. Xie Zishuan smiled coldly and took the initiative to charge over. He was proud and arrogant. When he saw Xiao Chen reveal his cultivation, he completely revealed his trump card. He felt that Xiao Chen was only a so-so and that he could fight alone. The others were happy to let him do as he pleased. However, if they found an opportunity, they would definitely make a move to kill Xiao Chen. Bang! 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 The 8 sabers on Xie Zishuan's back unsheathed. He took 8 steps, creating a ghostly image with each step and a clone with each step. Eventually, his movements became unpredictable, it was hard to tell which was the real one. The 8 ghostly image clones each used a different saber technique. However, they were all connected to each other, giving off ghostly howls. A new world seemed to appear on the platform. It was like a ghostly deity was descending. Black chi surged out, and the might of a ghostly deity spread out. Ghostly howls resounded, and black light shone everywhere, shocking everyone. Up in the sky, Di-Wuk, who stood on the divine kingdom image, frowned slightly. The Avicii saber technique already reached small perfection. No wonder he is so confident. The moment this saber technique appeared, not only did Di-Wuk's expression change, but it also shocked the invited cultivators. The Avicii saber technique was an inherited martial technique of the ghost race. It was all-encompassing. Even the famous ghostly shadow steps was just a branch of it. Xiaochen already knew that Xie Zishuan practiced the Avicii saber technique, so his expression did not change. He grasped his saber hilt with his right hand and carefully stared at the 8 clones. However, he did not pay much attention to the Avicii hell that Xie Zishuan was about to summon out. As the black chi spread throughout the platform, death chi poured out endlessly. Xie Zishuan's 8 ghostly image clones already looked solid. They looked like they were about to seal Xiaochen and kill him on the spot. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiaochen squinted and fixed his gaze on one of the clones. Then, he quickly drew the lunar shadow saber with his right hand and turned into a purple saber light flashing out. Thunder roared, and the saber might gathered. Dang! Xiaochen knocked away the saber in that clone's hand. Saber lights flashed continuously, and purple electric light crackled and blossomed. In 3 breaths, thousands of afterimages of saber lights appeared in the air. Xiaochen's speed was simply too fast. That clone could not react in time and was struck by the saber. He vomited blood and went flying back. The other 7 clones that rushed over to help shattered one after another. They turned into beams of black light and returned to Xie Zishuan's body. The Avicii hell, which was about to take shape, shattered. The death chi turned into countless clumps of light. That's impossible. How did you discover my true body? Xie Zishuan vomited a mouthful of blood, his eyes filled with disbelief. The difference in mental energy was too great. As long as there was a slight difference, Xiaochen's spiritual sense could easily distinguish the real from the fake. This was not difficult for Xiaochen. However, Xie Zishuan had a confident expression on his face. How could he not lose? Naturally, Xiaochen would not explain this to Xie Zishuan. Spring thunder roared, and everything revived. Xiaochen turned around and chopped with his saber. Peach blossoms bloomed for 50 kilometers around, filling the air with the fragrance of flowers and falling leaves. This saber strike contained boundless life force, sweeping away the death chi on the platform as it headed for Xie Zishuan. However, just as the saber light was about to strike Xie Zishuan, a beam of starlight bloomed. Fu Hongyao charged over holding the lunar banner. Xing Ju opened his hand, and a huge axe appeared in it. The huge axe spun around his fingers like the wind, looking incredibly berserk. When the tip of the axe reached its peak, Xing Ju leaped up and chopped down at Xiaochen's head. The voice of the divine kingdom image rang out. Di-Wuk had a solemn expression as he formed hand seals with both hands. The Tenjin Emperor's world-eliminating imprint opened the 1st heaven. 2nd heaven. 3rd heaven, all the way to the 99 heavens. The Tenjin Emperor stood upright like a mountain. As he shouted, he formed the world-eliminating imprint and smashed it at Xiaochen. Although Xie Zishuan wanted to fight Xiaochen alone and did not allow others to interfere, Xiaochen was very cautious. However, Xiaochen was very cautious. How could he really not pay attention to those 3? The moment the 3 launched their attacks, Xiaochen sensed them. He sheathed his saber and retreated, dodging the strike of Fu Hongyao's lunar astral banner that carried a boundless cold light. The moment Xiaochen retreated, a 1,000-meter-tall icicle with overwhelming cold chi soared up from the ground where he had been standing. If Xiaochen had been too slow, this extremely cold astral energy from the lunar astral banner would have frozen his soul into ice shards. Xiaochen had just dodged when Xing Ju's huge axe descended from above. There was no space or time to dodge. Since Xiaochen could not retreat or scatter, he would break it with force. His body merged with his saber, and his long hair spread out. Xiaochen circulated all the law energy in his body. Rings of bright purple light appeared behind him, reaching the horrifying level of 10,000 rings. When Xiaochen waved his saber, he sent out a long beam of purple electric light. The electric light looked like a dragon as it carved itself deep in the air. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. Thousands of years later, this scene would probably be remembered by everyone, never to be extinguished. Xing Ju looked down from above, preparing to unleash his peak strike. When the huge axe descended, it seemed like it could shatter space and shatter the sky. Xiaochen was at an innate disadvantage on the ground. Instead of thinking of defending, he wanted to use force to break. Clashing head-on with force was simply seeking death. The saber and the axe clashed in that instant. Dang! Xing Ju, who was charging over with a ferocious momentum, got knocked back by Xiaochen's saber strike that was launched later. A loud sound echoed in the sky. The platform made of solid rock completely shattered. Countless boulders soared into the air behind Xiaochen. After sending Xing Ju flying with one saber strike, Xiaochen did not relax at all. He roared ferociously and burned his magic energy, executing the dragon tone art. An incredibly huge dragon head peeked out from the clouds and roared as Xiaochen roared. This was the roar of a true dragon, containing the might of a true dragon. The world-eliminating imprint that Diwuk formed shattered layer by layer. Xiaochen shattered the Zhu Tenjin Emperor's image again. While Diwuk had improved, Xiaochen did not remain stagnant either. He was now a peak Yuanying. His magic energy filled his sea of consciousness, becoming much denser. Xiaochen dodged Fu Hongyao's attack, knocked back Xing Ju, and broke Diwuk's Zhu Tenjin Emperor's world-eliminating imprint with one roar. All this happened in the time it took for a spark to fly, so fast that no one could clearly see what happened. Xiaochen broke the three's combined attacks one by one. Huge boulders flew everywhere, dragon might spread out, divine light shone, and starlight covered the platform. Xiaochen ran quickly, charging towards Xie Zishuan. A white figure held the cold lunar shadow saber in his hand. Xiaochen had a grave and stern expression as he nimbly weaved through the huge boulders. Ding! Ding! Dang! The wind blew Xiaochen's hair, and the sound of countless sabers rang out. A boundless saber intent spread out, lingering for a long time. This startled Xie Zishuan, who had just gotten up. At first, he thought that he saw a true dragon charging at him. By the time Xie Zishuan reacted, Xiaochen had already arrived before him. He swung his saber, and 50 kilometers of peach blossoms appeared. The petals were like sabers, dancing endlessly. When Xiaochen chopped down, 10,000 flowers bloomed. Spring thunder rang out endlessly, and life force was inextinguishable. This firmly suppressed Xie Ziwen's death qi. In an instant, the two exchanged more than 1,000 saber strikes. They were so fast that it was dazzling. Figures soared through the flower petals, sending out saber qi everywhere. After 100 moves, 10 saber wounds appeared on Xiaochen's body. Black qi lingered around the wounds, so deep that bones could be seen. Blood flowed everywhere. However, saber wounds covered Xie Zishuan's body. Blood flowed endlessly from his vital areas. Xie Zishuan paled as he looked at Xiaochen with some horror. He said in a trembling voice, You are really ruthless. The spectators all felt fear in their hearts. They broke out in a cold sweat. Even at the risk of being struck, Xiaochen could not stop. If you attack me once, I will attack you 10 times. Hence, Xie Zishuan suffered 100 saber strikes and Xiaochen suffered 10. Xiaochen watched as Xie Zishuan fell and ignored him. If I am not ruthless, how can I make you lose your combat prowess in such a short time? 1. Xiaochen counted in his heart. Then, his figure flashed and he dodged Fu Hongyao's attack again. Hundreds of 1-kilometer-long icicles covered the dilapidated platform. These were the attacks that Fu Hongyao launched at Xiaochen when he fought Xie Zishuan. However, Xiaochen dodged all of them. If not for Fu Hongyao's harassment, Xiao Chen would have at least half of the saber wounds on his body. While Xiao Chen and Xie Zishuan clashed, Di Wuk and Xing Ju did not take the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Xing Ju moved his fingers and the 1-meter-long axe moved nimbly on his fingertips. As the huge axe moved, wind blew at him from all directions. At first, the wind was formless and colorless. However, something strange slowly appeared in the wind, turning it into a black wind of death filled with ghostly wails. Di Wuk closed his eyes and sat on the image of the divine kingdom. Praises turned into holy light soaring into the sky. Every strand of Xiao Chen's hair looked crystalline. His handsome face looked holy and perfect. Bang! A cold light flashed, and a cold wind blew. The starlight was dazzling. Without needing to guess, Xiao Chen knew that this was Fu Hongyao's killing move flying over. Xiao Chen saw the astral banner spread out. It was as dark as night, like the vast night sky as it flew over silently. A dazzling cold light appeared in the night sky. This was the ancient lunar star. Xiao Chen's gaze sank. This woman is really relentless. He casually stabbed the lunar shadow saber into the ground and formed hand seals with both hands. A chessboard of fate appeared above his head. Space and time crisscrossed, and stars dotted the space. The trajectory of every star was arranged by the heavenly Tao. If the chessboard was moved, it would cause chaos in fate, forming a starry heaven storm. Xiao Chen moved 10 stars, forming an intense black storm that clashed with the night sky formed by the astral banner. Chapter 1001. The night sky stirred, and the stars shattered. Then, the lunar star in the banner exploded. When his life magic treasure shattered, Fu Hongyao vomited a mouthful of blood. His complexion turned incredibly pale, making him look very pitiful. Bang! A figure of light appeared in the dark starry heavens. Xiao Chen punched this lovable face, sending Fu Hongyao flying out of the platform and falling to the ground. Fu Hongyao covered his face with one hand, feeling very embarrassed. This was the first time he had met such a ruthless man. He clenched his teeth and said, "We will meet again. Xiao Chen, don't let me run into you again." 2. Xiao Chen thought to himself. Then, he flipped his hand, and the lunar shadow saber appeared in his hand again. Xiao Chen ignored the other party and charged at Xing Ju, who was closest. Black wind blew, and ghostly cries rang out. The huge axe continued to dance around Xing Ju's fingers. When Xing Ju saw Xiao Chen charging over, he laughed boldly and said, "Good timing. Let's see who will send who flying this time." The huge axe suddenly stopped dancing. Xiao Chen grasped it firmly with one hand. The storm that had been accumulating for a long time covered Xing Ju's entire body like a storm battle armor. The peach blossoms bloomed, the summer sun rose, the autumn wind blew, and the winter snow drifted. Flawless 4 seasons, growing and multiplying endlessly. As Xiao Chen ran, mysterious phenomena appeared around him. By the time he met Xing Ju, the 4 seasons Tao had completely materialized. When he swung his saber, it grew and multiplied endlessly. Bang! A deafening sound rang out as the entire king's ceremony platform shattered into pieces. Xing Ju's black storm battle armor shattered. Then, Xiao Chen's aura knocked him high into the air. Xiao Chen's momentum did not decrease. He soared into the air, taking advantage of Xing Ju's falling aura to launch a frenzied attack. The two in the air seemed to move in slow motion. Every move they made was clear to everyone. This was the most berserk way of fighting, relying on absolute strength to exchange moves with moves. In less than 10 moves, he'd struck space to the point it shook like waves, and it formed numerous spatial storms that whistled to and fro. This startled everyone who saw it. If a regular martial sage was swept by this spatial storm, they would die instantly. Thud! With another move, the huge axe in Xing Tian's hand flew away. Then, Xiao Chen swung the back of his saber and sent Xing Tian's stout body flying like a sandbag. 3. Just as he finished chanting in his heart, Di-wook, who was on the Divine Kingdom, suddenly opened his eyes. The Divine Kingdom under his feet solidified, bringing with it a boundless godly light as it pressed down, ready to crush Xiao Chen with a single blow. Loud rumbling sounds rang out continuously. The solidified image of the Divine Kingdom covered the entire King's conferral platform and pressed down like lightning. When the Divine Kingdom descended, Xiao Chen looked extremely small. The entire Tianwu Plaza trembled violently. However, Xiao Chen paid a huge price for this attack. After the Divine Kingdom descended, the entire Divine Kingdom vanished. Even the image no longer existed, unable to be summoned. Di-wook hovered in the air, radiating a dazzling light as his white hair fluttered in the wind. As Xiao Chen looked at the ruined platform, he smiled coldly to himself. This meticulously prepared attack prevented him from summoning the Divine Kingdom for 3 years. This primordial treasure. Even the blue-robed emperor was severely injured, what more a great grandmaster-level martial sage. Even if Xiao Chen did not die, he would be crippled. Sorry, I was too heavy-handed and accidentally destroyed this Bushan Palace's king's conferral platform. Di-wook performed a cupped fist salute and said indifferently to the elders in the distance, "It is time for the king conferral ceremony to end." It ended just like that. The cultivators present all felt dissatisfied. They had seen Xiao Chen defeat 3 people in a row and thought that victory was in sight. However, Di-wook's lightning-quick strike extinguished the hope that had just rekindled. The Divine Kingdom was a primordial emperor treasure. It was a supreme existence with a long inheritance. Few in the world could rival it. Di-wook drained his mental energy and paid the price of not being able to summon the image of the Emperor treasure for 3 years. When Xiao Chen materialized the image of the Divine Kingdom and executed a peak strike, even the blue-robed Emperor would be severely injured. However, that was only in theory. In a real battle, the blue-robed Emperor would definitely not give Di-wook that much time to prepare. It was only because Xiao Chen was delayed by Xie Zixuan, Fu Hongyao, and Xing Zhu that gave Di-wook the opportunity to make his move. Otherwise, in a one-on-one fight, victory would be hard to determine. Is it over? The black-clad old man hosting the ceremony held the Blue Dragon King's insignia in his hand and muttered, "This price is rather high." The king conferral platform had turned into rubble. Xiao Chen had stripped the insignia of Xiao Hoju, whom the 3 Holy Lord had placed their hopes on, and tossed it somewhere. For the sake of preventing a certain name from appearing, the price was rather high. Di-wook's final strike was too exaggerated. Xiao Chen's loss was not unjustified. While it was unjustified, it was too unfortunate. Xiao Chen's path was arduous, and he fought many battles. Many outstanding talents and various experts fell to his saber. However, he lost at the final hurdle. This makes one sigh. In the end, a miracle is impossible. Xiao Chen bore the brunt of this attack. I believe that with his strong physical body, he will not die. However, he definitely does not have any combat prowess left. Whispers resounded. At the final step, Xiao Chen fell at Di-wook's feet. Everyone felt that this was unexpected but also reasonable. In the VIP stands, Shui Lingling quietly wiped away the tears at the corners of her eyes. The path to king conferral was filled with obstacles, resulting in such an ending. Even if Xiao Chen managed to survive, his heart would be dead. The Azura race's Lan Xiaobai opened his mouth, feeling strange. He wanted to say something but did not say anything in the end. Some of the people who were on good terms with Xiao Chen showed sorrowful expressions, sighing endlessly. Ha ha ha. Unexpectedly, I rushed back after so much difficulty and saw this scene. In the end, I, Xiao Hoju, will have the last laugh at the king conferral ceremony. A disheveled figure quickly descended from the air. This was the Xiao Hoju that Xiao Chen had tossed out for hundreds of kilometers. Xiao Hoju ignored his injuries and rushed back in a hurry, not even bothering to change his clothes. However, the instant he returned, he happened to see Xiao Chen being suppressed by the Divine Kingdom. He immediately rejoiced. Sometimes, happiness came so easily. The black-clad old man was also overjoyed. He quickly took out the White Tiger King's insignia and headed for the rubble. Just at this moment, a tiny strand of golden light shot out from the boundless rubble on the King Conferral platform. In the next moment, beams of golden light blossomed like bamboo shoots after the rain. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of beams of golden light soared into the sky, dazzling everyone's eyes. No one dared to look at them directly. Xiao Hoju showed a shocked expression. What's going on? The expression of Di Wuk, who was preparing to leave, changed slightly. Confusion appeared in his eyes as he stopped in the air. Boom! Golden statues burst out from the rubble, emitting a brilliant glow. The statues all had different appearances and weapons. The only similarity was the king's might that flowed from their bodies. The might of hundreds of statues overlapped, inspiring fear in one's heart. That scared me. So, it is just a group of king statues. Upon seeing the situation, Xiao Hoju heaved a clear sigh of relief. He thought that Xiao Qin had come out again. That's not right. Di Wuk's expression changed drastically. He saw Xiao Qin standing among the hundreds of statues with his eyes closed. His entire body shone with golden light as his injuries slowly recovered. Xiao Qin had already taken off the Neptune headscarf on his forehead. He now gave off a boundless king's might, even stronger than the hundreds of king statues around him. The Blue Dragon King, the King of Kings. The little blue dragon in Xiao Qian's dantian roared ferociously. Dragon might and holy might gathered into a supreme king's might. Under the pressure of this king's might, the many golden statues prostrated themselves, forming a golden path in the air, forming a king's road. Xiao Hoju's expression changed dramatically. Shock filled his eyes as he thought quickly. Right now, Xiao Qin was just an empty shell. The scene of Di Wuk injuring him was definitely not an illusion. Even the blue-robed emperor would not be able to put up a fight. Although Xiao Qin was severely injured and did not have time to recover on the way here, he should still be able to deal with this fellow who was putting on a false front. At this thought, a ruthless look flashed in Xiao Hoju's eyes. He laughed loudly. What a great Xiao Qin! At the crucial moment, you actually completely awakened the dragon might of the blue dragon martial spirit. Unfortunately, the one to be conferred king today is me, Xiao Hoju. Xiao Qian's figure flashed, and a boundless aura appeared. A strong wind that was taller than the sky, wider than the ground, fiercer than the river, vaster than the sea gathered behind him. In the blink of an eye, Xiao Qin arrived before Xiao Qin. Then, he quickly pointed at Xiao Qian's forehead. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Qin raised his right hand and instantly grabbed Xiao Hoju's wrist. Boom! A bolt of divine thunder roared. What kind of thunder was this? Just the sound alone made the entire Tianwu city shake like there was an earthquake. Buildings collapsed. The eardrums of the low-ranked cultivators shattered, and they fainted on the spot. A strand of electric light tore through space. A great rock made of lightning appeared in the sky together with the divine thunder. The great rock spread its wings, and a strong wind blew. The Bushan Palace, which was hidden in the clouds, seemed to move. This is the will of thunder of the Thunder King, Sang Mu. How could Xiao Qin execute it? Everyone was startled. Their complexions paled as they trembled before this thunder rock, their eyes filled with confusion. Why did Xiao Qin execute the manifestation of the Thunder King's will? Hey, Ao Jiao, there is no need for you to cause such a huge commotion, right? Hee hee. I just woke up and am not familiar with my own strength yet. However, after not seeing you for a long time, there are many more strange things in your body. Please, I was forced to let it occupy my body. Can you stop looking around? Alright. Just focus on recuperating. Leave the rest to me. Hey! I was so focused on talking to you that I nearly forgot that I am still dragging someone with me. I'll toss him away first. Whoosh! On the sovereign's road paved with golden statues, Xiao Qin casually flung out Xiao Hoju, who was already charred by the lightning, and turned into a meteor flying far away. No one knew where he went or where he landed. Xiao Chen did not even look at this person. Then, he shifted his gaze to the exhausted Di Wuk. His lips curled up in a mischievous smile that only Ao Jiao had. Di Wuk felt a chill. He vaguely felt that something was wrong with Xiao Chen, like something had changed. However, he could not tell what was wrong. However, when Di Wuk saw the strange smile on Xiao Chen's face, he knew that he had to leave. Xiao Chen's mental energy was drained, and he was in a weakened state. He was no match for Xiao Chen now. Chapter 1002. A light flashed, and Di Wuk quickly flew towards Tian Yushi. When Tian Yushi saw Xiao Chen place his hand on his saber hilt, his expression changed slightly. He shouted, "Keepers of light, protect the prince." Bang! 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 Beams of light quickly shot out from behind Tian Yushi. The 13 keepers quickly arrived behind Di Wuk and drew their weapons. They all gave off a bright divine light and merged into one, summoning out an illusory deity's nation to help Di Wuk block the space behind him. The deity's nation had just formed when Xiao Chen, who was on the sovereign's road, drew his saber. The lightning bird in the sky quickly landed on the saber. Then, a saber light made of electricity swept through the air. The divine kingdom turned into an illusion in that instant. The light formed by the 13 keepers quickly shattered and shattered. The saber light knocked them back and made them vomit blood. The saber light did not lose any momentum, chopping down on Di Wuk's back and chopping him in half at the waist. Tian Yushi sent out a gentle and holy white light and reconnected the two halves of Di Wuk's body. Then, he carried him and quickly left. Painful wails came out from Di Wu's gap continuously. That voice was heart-wrenching, filled with endless regret and pain. Xiao Chen. Don't think that this will end after you are conferred king. Just you wait. When I forge my deity statue and absorb the power of faith from the 900 deity realms, I will return today's injuries to you 100-fold. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber, and the world turned quiet. Then, he walked forward step by step on the king's road. Bang! The statues under Xiao Chen's feet shattered one by one, turning into ashes that spread out in the air. It was like they were demonstrating the people that Xiao Chen had killed and defeated on this road. Those who defeated me were defeated by me. Those who wanted to be defeated, no one could escape. When the last step was completed, all the statues had been shattered. Golden dust pervaded the air behind Xiao Chen. It was colorful and beautiful. Dust billowed, as if a new statue was being formed. The blue dragon emblem in the black-clad old man's box trembled. He desperately tried to suppress the box, but to no avail. The medallion flew towards Xiao Chen's chest. With a flash of azure light, it entered Xiao Chen's white clothes. The white robes started to change. Soon, they turned into magnificent azure battle armor. The dragon insignia on the chest was very eye-catching. I want to be conferred the title of king. Is there anyone else who is unconvinced? Who would dare to be unconvinced? Even Di Wuk had been cut in half. Wouldn't they be courting death if they went up? No one responded for a long time. Then, the golden dust filling the air took form. A golden statue of Xiao Chen stood on the dilapidated king conferral platform. Indomitable spirit, awe-inspiring might. Hundreds of golden statues had been reforged. These statues were 1 kilometer tall, and the might of a supreme king spread out in all directions. The statue had a stern expression. A lunar shadow saber hung at its waist as it stared at the sky. Many golden dragon images swam around the statue, adding to the strange scene. The blue dragon king really succeeded in being conferred king. The dreamlike statue of a king was chopped in half. The fleeing Di Wuk was in a sorry state. The Xiao Hoju was tossed into the air again. The Zodiac Hall's Fu Hongyao was beaten until he covered his face. The Xiao Hoju was beaten hundreds of times. The Xing Ju defeated his opponent with brute force. I want to be conferred king. No one dares to object. This person cannot be conferred king. Suddenly, an ethereal voice rang out. A huge hand transcended time and space, grabbing at Tianwu City from the distant deity domain. The golden hand was intertwined with countless divine runes. Everywhere it passed, flowers fell from the sky. Rainbow-colored sacred flowers fell from the sky like rain. It crossed billions of kilometers from the distant deity domain all the way to the Tianwu domain's central province's Tianwu City. Then, it grabbed at Xiao Chen ruthlessly. Xiao Chen's words were like the truth, reverberating in the world. Countless holy sounds echoed and reinforced it. Emperor forsaken. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Aside from Emperor forsaken, there was no one else in the deity race who possessed such strength and could bring out such a scene. Xiao Chen's attack was very sudden, so fast that no one could think. As the huge hand stretched out, under the boundless emperor's might, everyone in the plaza became extremely insignificant. This scene was very similar to the sea of bitterness behind the bridge of helplessness in the 9 layers of purgatory. It looked like Xiao Chen would be squashed to death by this huge hand like an ant. A bolt of divine lightning roared, and a strand of electric light illuminated the sky. Then, it chopped down like a berserk saber, directly chopping off this huge hand. However, the huge hand did not immediately scatter. It paused for a moment before continuing to grab at Xiao Chen. Take out the blue dragon medallion. Xiao Chen quickly ordered in his heart. Ao Jiao did not say anything else. She controlled Xiao Chen's body and ejected the blue dragon medallion. The blue dragon medallion hovered above Xiao Chen's head, and his body recovered to normal. Then, he leaped into the air and dodged the divine hand's strike. Without the blue dragon medallion to help him block the might of the huge hand, no matter how high he jumped or how far he jumped, he would still be squashed to death like an ant. Di Qitian, are you trying to start a war between the two races? A ferocious roar came from Bushin Palace. The broken hand that Emperor Forsaken left behind crumbled and vanished. In an instant, the setting sun was like blood, and the broken hand turned into light particles. It was like many divine kingdoms collapsed. Angels fell one after another. Countless life forms and deity race cultivators died at this moment. Everyone in the square returned to normal. They were all panting and their eyes were filled with fear. Emperor Forsaken. This was the strength of the 5 strongest experts of the Kunlun continent. Even from millions of kilometers away, he could kill people like they were ants. Xiao Chen looked at the disappearing motes of light in the air and entered deep thought. This was the scene that he had been longing for. If he watched carefully, his dusk of deities would definitely rise to another level in the future. In the distant deity domain, Emperor Forsaken, who sat on his divine throne, sighed. His earlier strike had burned the lives of 3 million believers of the deity race in the lower realms. This was very different from an ordinary strike. Originally, Emperor Forsaken thought that he could deceive the Thunder King and kill Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen had a treasure that could block the Emperor's might of a sovereign personage. However, no matter how overwhelming your luck is, you will not be able to be conferred king today. Dressed in divine robes, Emperor Forsaken looked like he was wearing the moon and the stars. Then, his gaze sank, and a will clone formed from nowhere. Then, he brought the divine kingdom to Tianwu City. Emperor Forsaken had rushed over with a will clone because of time constraints. If he used his true body, even if he traveled through a space-time tunnel, he would need half a day to cross such a long distance. Unless he continued burning the lives of his believers in the lower realms, he had to be careful. Descending with his true body before the eyes of the Bushin Palace was not a good idea, no matter how he looked at it. In the sky above Tianwu City, Emperor Forsaken's will clone had a hazy white light around it, preventing others from seeing his appearance. Thunder King, the one who started the war is you, not me. This person absolutely cannot be conferred king. Emperor Forsaken said sullenly as he looked at the clouds, at the Bushin Palace, which seemed to drift between reality and illusion. If you say so, then I won't be conferred king. Do you really think that I'm about to die? A thunderous roar came from the Bushin Palace. The voice was like thunder, shattering the divine light drifting in the surroundings. What if I join? A ghostly fog appeared in the sky. A skinny, pale-skinned, middle-aged man in white descended steadily from the sky. Me too. A burly man wearing black battle armor walked over from the horizon, carrying a huge axe. Dongyue Ghost Emperor. Xingtian. Another will clone of a major character had arrived. The situation was no longer at a level that Xiaoqin could interfere with. Leaving his fate to fate was not a good feeling. Ao Jiao, do you think I can reach the level of these people one day? Nothing in the world is impossible. The path to being conferred king has just begun. One day, not only will you reach the level of these people, but you will even surpass them, treating them like ants. Several major characters arrived at Tianwu City, discussing his life and death. However, Xiaoqin, dressed in azure, stood on the rubble of the platform, looking at the sky with an indifferent expression. Ao Jiao was right. The path to being conferred king was not the end but just the beginning. Emperor Forsaken, Xingtian, Dongyue Ghost Emperor, with just a few words, you want to decide my life and death. One day, I will decide the life and death of the three of you. Even if you are the strongest experts of this world, you will not be an exception. Three powerful experts worked together to force Xiaoqin to not be conferred king. He had already brought the conflict in the dark and his fear of a certain name to the surface. Although the Thunder King was strong, having been in the same generation as the Qing Emperor 10,000 years ago, his cultivation had already reached the limits of a sovereign martial emperor. He could be called a prime, a cultivation that ordinary cultivators could not imagine. However, when facing three powerful experts who were also primes, Xiaoqin felt even more pressure. This was especially so for Emperor Forsaken, someone who could absorb the faith of the masses. It was hard to avoid the pressure. Ha! The three of you are really awe-inspiring. To think that you are so afraid of the Qing Emperor, making things difficult for a child. Are you not afraid of the world laughing at you? Clear laughter resounded. A handsome and elegant man walked out from behind the Bushan Palace. Some fiend race cultivators immediately recognized him. This was the Fox King, the strongest expert of the fiend domain, one of the 5 strongest experts of the Kunlun continent. He was also a powerful sovereign martial emperor. This was a major matter. Unexpectedly, the 5 strongest experts of the Kunlun realm all appeared, all for one person's king conferral ceremony. The appearance of the Fox King undoubtedly reduced the pressure on the Thunder King. Right now, both sides were at a stalemate, no one could do anything to the other. Emperor Forsaken frowned. Clearly, he had not expected the Fox King to appear at the last moment. The Fox King, it is useless even if you come. No matter what, you cannot be conferred king today. I absolutely will not allow a second Qing Emperor to appear. Right after the Fox King spoke, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor and the Xingtian both took a step forward. Based on their stance, it looked like they wanted to take him away forcefully. Humph. In that case, go ahead and try. I do not mind letting everyone die before the demonic calamity arrives. The thunderous rumble resounded once again. The Thunder Sovereign's voice shook the heavens. The lightning that descended tore several pitch-black cracks in space, looking extremely frightening. Chapter 1003. The Thunder King's strength was unexpected, and it made Emperor Forsaken feel a little suffocated. What are the three of us afraid of? I don't believe that his real body is here. I don't believe that the 3 holy masters will choose to fight with us. He's just an old man. Let's see what you're afraid of. Xingtian was extremely disdainful. He said coldly, let's fight. We have an 80% chance of winning. Although he was about to attack, he did not show any signs of doing so. In the end, this was just a negotiation tactic. He was still a little cautious. Even if he did not kill Xiaoqin, he would force Xiaoqin to remove his title as the Blue Dragon King. Why don't you try? As the words left his mouth, the atmosphere in the Sky Marshal Plaza clearly changed. There were already people who began to quietly slip away, afraid that there would really be a great battle. If the shockwaves swept over them, then it would be too much. Just as the atmosphere was so tense that it made everyone feel thirsty, up in the sky, a sun descended and materialized the might of a supreme Haotian emperor. A will clone that was no weaker than the 5 powerful sovereign martial emperors appeared. With a cold smile on his face, he slowly descended along with the sun. What's going on? Why is there another expert no weaker than 5 powerful sovereign martial emperors in the Kunlun continent? The appearance of this person instantly caused a huge commotion. The appearance of this person broke not only the balance of this place but also the balance of the various factions of the Kunlun continent. The will clones that suddenly appeared displayed a prime emperor might that was not any weaker than the 5 experts, surprising Xiao Chen. The newcomer gave Xiao Chen a sense of familiarity, especially the mysterious phenomenon of the supreme sky might under the sun. Could it be the sect master? Xiao Chen asked uncertainly. There was another word in front of Haotian, which was Taishang. Taishang Haotian meant supreme. Many years ago, the Haotian sect had its own glory days. The founder of the sect had left behind the supreme Haotian scripture, which allowed martial artists to transform into the heavenly Tao and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Because it was too ethereal, after the ancestor, no one else succeeded in cultivating it. Fortunately, the ancestor had lived his entire life and was invincible. He left behind countless scriptures and martial skills, all of which were extremely precious existences. As such, even though no one managed to successfully cultivate the highest Haotian scripture, the sect did not decline. It had always been one of the top 9 ranks of the great families, and it had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. Now, the luck of the Holy Land was boundless, and elites emerged in large numbers. It looked like it would surpass the Holy Lands and become a king sect. All Xiao Chen lacked were sovereign martial emperors and king spirit veins. If this person in the sky was really the Yingzongtian who cultivated the supreme Haotian scripture and became a sovereign martial emperor, then the Yingzongtian in the sky would be a sovereign martial emperor. The Tianwu domain was really going to change. The entire Kunlun continent would change because of this. 2 prime sovereign martial emperors might even be able to compete with the deity race, which was known as the 3,000 deities. As the person descended, his appearance became clearer. It seemed like there was a clump of white fog blocking his view. However, that silhouette and back view were clearly that of the Haotian emperor that Xiao Chen was familiar with. Hey, that sect master of yours really was conferred king. He actually gained the strength of a prime after advancing to sovereign martial emperor. He is really patient. Ao Jiao's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's heart, confirming Xiao Chen's guess. Xiao Chen felt excited. What's wrong? Have you met him before? I definitely have. Otherwise, I would not have gotten you to agree to the Haotian sect's invitation back then. He is no weaker than the Thunder King back then. Back then, when Sang Mu was conferred king, he immediately gained the strength of a prime. However, the one he challenged was the Thunder King, so he lost in one move. Xiao Chen could not help feeling somewhat envious. This was a true conferred king. He was still far from it. However, as long as he could maintain his title as the Blue Dragon King today, he would gather supreme luck and an Emperor True Dragon. Sooner or later, he would be able to reach this step. Yingzongtian. The Xingtian Emperor was slightly astonished. The Dongyue Ghost Emperor and Emperor Forsaken also felt incredulous. Yingzongtian had not been conferred king for 1,000 years. Now that he was conferred king, he became a prime. What kind of outstanding person was he exactly? Such a prime might not be able to compete with veteran primes like them in the short term, but he definitely had the strength to put up a fight. With the addition of Yingzongtian, as well as the Thunder King and the Fox King, it was almost impossible for them to touch Xiao Chen. They had no advantage at all. Deity Sovereign, let's just forget about this matter. You and I both know that this demonic god calamity is extraordinary. Internal strife is not worth it. Just at this moment, 2 figures walked out from behind Yingzongtian. The Saber Sovereign, Wu Xiaotian, held the coiling monarch time saber. The Sword Sovereign, Lu Xiaoyun, held the scarlet firmament void sword. The two of them stood behind Zongtian, one on the left and one on the right, clearly expressing their stance. Although the saber-sword two sovereigns were stronger than regular sovereign martial emperors, they were still a distance away from primes. However, when the two of them worked together, even primes had to avoid them. Hence, the situation in the sky turned around. Not only did Emperor Forsaken not hold the advantage, but he was also at an extreme disadvantage. If they really fought, Shaochen would not have any chance of victory. Nearly all the strongest experts of the Kunlun continent gathered in the turbulent Tianwu city. Who could have expected that a human's king conferral ceremony would affect the entire Kunlun realm, nearly causing a huge change? Of all the past conferred kings, only Shao Qian could create such a grand occasion. Why are you still not scramming? Don't you feel embarrassed standing here? Of all the primes, only the three of you dare to suppress a junior. A thunderous voice shook the sky. The Thunder King's voice filled with disdain resounded once more. Humph! Thunder King, let's see how long you can live. Let's see how long you can protect this brat. Emperor Forsaken's voice was filled with rage. With the rise of a second Qing emperor, his deity race's plan to unify the Kunlun realm would be delayed for a long time. Ha ha ha! Brat Qitian, when I was conferred king, your grandfather was not even born yet. How dare you say this to me? You can forget about leaving today. The Thunder King's loud laughter came from Bushan Palace. His laughter sounded like 10,000 peals of thunder. Cracks immediately appeared in the sky like a waterfall. A scarlet lightning hammer flickering with countless heavenly phoenix talisman scripts flew towards Emperor Forsaken's will clone in the sky. Phoenix Blood Thunder Divine Hammer. Emperor Forsaken's expression changed slightly. He quickly tried to use the Divine Kingdom image under his feet. However, he suddenly discovered that the Divine Kingdom image no longer listened to him. When Shaochen saw the vast and ethereal Bushan Palace, he suddenly realized that the Bushan Palace before him was a primordial secret treasure in itself. Perhaps the Divine Kingdom's main body could defeat it. However, it absolutely could not defeat the image. It is just a will clone. So what if you kill it? Nothing can change the fact that you do not have much lifespan left. Ha ha ha. As Emperor Forsaken reared his head back and laughed, the Phoenix Blood Thunder Divine Hammer smashed the will clone into pieces. In an instant, the Divine Kingdom crumbled. Cries of anguish rang out as strands of scarlet light turned into huge fireballs and fell to the ground like meteors. The Fox King and Ing Tianzong made a move to prevent the scarlet light from falling to the ground. Otherwise, the entire Tianwu city would have turned into rubble. Shaochen stared at all this without blinking. His understanding of the myriad heaven divine fists dusk of deities deepened, and he vaguely comprehended something. However, the Dongyue Ghost Emperor and Xingtian left quietly. Destroying the will clone was not as easy as Emperor Forsaken made it out to be. No matter what, the main body would still be affected. Shao Chen, today, I officially confer you the title of Blue Dragon King. Are you willing to accept it? The Thunder King's voice rang out again after he withdrew the Phoenix Blood Thunder Divine Hammer. This time, he addressed Shao Chen directly. A beam of light immediately descended from the gloomy sky and landed on Shao Chen, drawing everyone's attention. The Thunder King personally made an appearance to confer the title of king. This was an earth-shattering event. Everyone held their breaths and focused as they looked at the dazzling youth in the beam of light. Many thanks to Senior Thunder King for bestowing the title. Shao Chen is filled with gratitude and is willing to accept the title of Blue Dragon King. Ha ha ha. Good. After 10,000 years, the title of Blue Dragon King has reappeared. This is a grand occasion. From today onwards, Shao Chen is the new Blue Dragon King, the Blue Dragon King of my Bushan Palace and the Blue Dragon King of all the humans of my Tianwu domain. Right after Shao Chen spoke, the thunderclouds in the sky scattered, and sunlight shone down. 7-colored heavenly flowers began to fall like heavy snowflakes. These were the purest essence of energy in the world, reaching the level of 7 colors. The Thunder King used his own cultivation to sprinkle them down. They were very different from the illusions of the cannons. The seven-colored heavenly flowers drifting in the sky looked dense and colorful, lingering for a long time. This showed what level the Thunder King's cultivation had reached. Immediately, countless cultivators cheered and soared into the sky, starting to fight for the boundless seven-colored heavenly flowers in the sky. It was very lively. Hee hee. Elder brother Xiaochen finally succeeded in being conferred king. Big brother Kong Yuan, big brother Yuan Su, quickly helped Shichen snatch the flowers. Xiao Bai laughed happily and pulled Kong Yuan and Yuan Su, wanting them to help her snatch the flowers. Kong Yuan and Yuan Su could not help but feel helpless. The Blue Dragon King reappeared in the world, and the Thunder King personally appointed him. Under the bright sun, heavenly flowers fell in a deluge of 7 colors. This path had been very difficult. There had been countless life-or-death situations, indescribable bitterness and tiredness. Finally, there was a happy ending. As Xiaochen looked at the many familiar figures in the sky, he memorized their smiles and smiled in his heart. The path was still long. The end of the king conferral ceremony was just the start of another path to prime. However, the hot-bloodedness in his heart did not extinguish. He worked hard for it, even if he had to endure 1,000 kinds of loneliness. However, there would come a day when he reached the peak. His smile was like a flower, like today, when heavenly flowers fell and the bright sun shone. Even the most wondrous song had its end. The boundless heavenly flowers would not be truly endless. When the song ended and the flowers fell, the noisy and bustling king conferral ceremony started to come to an end. In a tall building outside the Tianwu Plaza, Xiao Hoju, who had changed his clothes and washed off the dust, looked at the various cultivators who performed cupped fist salutes and said their goodbyes to Xiao Chen amid the scattered heavenly flowers. All sorts of emotions welled up in Xiao Chen's heart. Who would remember that this king conferral ceremony was prepared for him by the 3 holy lords? Xiao Chen's father, Xiao Hozun, was still in the room. He sat alone at a table, drinking wine, his expression unreadable. Father, didn't the Holy Lord say that the Thunder King would not come out? Why did he still come out? Xiao Hoju said through clenched teeth and clenched his fists. Chapter 1004. Xiao Hozun said indifferently, well, if he fails to be conferred king, naturally, he will not appear. Never mind, don't take it to heart. The Holy Lord will still give you the title of White Tiger King after this. However, what I want is not just a title. Xiaoju said through clenched teeth. Xiaozun's expression turned somewhat sad. After some thought, he said, recuperate from your injuries first. After you recuperate, the 3 holy masters will meet you personally. Remember the humiliation you suffered today. You have to put in the effort to get what you want. Xiaoju's expression turned startled. The 3 holy masters wanted to meet him personally. The Holy Lord was an aloof existence in the Holy Lands. Even though Xiao Chen was a Holy Lord, he rarely had the chance to meet them. Now, the 3 holy lords wanted to meet him together. Could there be a chance for things to change? Don't overthink. The matter of Xiao Chen being conferred king is already set in stone. It cannot be changed. The only thing that can change is yourself. This is your chance. Grasp it properly. Xiaozun said this before he left. Back in the Tianwu Plaza, Ao Jiao no longer possessed Xiao Chen. She had returned to the immortal spirit ring. Only when Xiao Chen regained control of his body did he realize how severely injured he was. Diwuk's final strike had been very ruthless. Even with Xiao Chen's rank 4 sage body, he was severely injured and on the verge of death, becoming incredibly weak. If not for Ao Jiao suddenly waking up, his path to being conferred king would have ended there. Xiao Chen stretched his arms and legs. He felt that he would need at least half a month to recover to his peak state. This is your conferred land and the king medallion. The black-clad old man stepped forward and handed Xiao Chen a map and a medallion. Then, his figure flashed, afraid that Xiao Chen would make things difficult for him. Xiao Chen smiled carelessly. He wasn't in a hurry to check his fief. After putting away the map and the token, he boarded the Haotian Sex battleship with Shui Lingling and the others. I'll heal my injuries first. Senior sister, please help me reject some people's disturbances for the time being, Xiaoqin said immediately after boarding the ship. Shui Lingling nods and calls for someone to lead Xiaoqin to the resting room on the ship. Half a day later, Xiaoqin managed to suppress his injuries. His movements were no longer hindered, and his complexion had calmed down. Only then did he take out the map of his fief. Looking at where the map was pointing, he could not help but frown. What's wrong? Is the size of the conferred land too small? Or are there no resources? Or what? Ao Jiao asked from the immortal spirit ring. No, see for yourself. Ao Jiao flew out of the immortal spirit ring and unfurled the map. The map was made of precious divine materials and engraved with formations to outline the terrain. With a thought, the map could change directions. It was much more convenient than the electronic maps of Xiaoqian's previous life. Ao Jiao's gaze lingered on the red dot on the conferred land. Then, she smiled and said, "It looks like the three holy masters still played some tricks. To think that they managed to toss you so far away." Unexpectedly, the location marked on the map was not in the Tianwu domain. Instead, it crossed the primal chaos domain and the chaotic demonic sea to an island in the heavenly starry ocean known as Heavenly Star Island. The island was very vast, no smaller than a province in the Tianwu domain. There were also a few subsidiary islands, which covered an even vaster area. The island did not lack spirit veins. It also produced some ores, so it was not too barren. The Bushan Palace was such a huge faction. If they had their own stronghold in the starry heavens, they would definitely have their own stronghold in the heavenly starry ocean as well. However, Xiaoqin had not expected the other party to toss him so far away. However, this was also good. They would not meet each other, and he could focus on his development. He could rely on the resources from the king conferment ceremony. With the resources from this king conferral gift, he could even develop a desolate land and use it as the foundation for reviving the Dragon's Gate in the future. Coincidentally, according to Long Fei's information, there was a throne in the heavenly starry ocean as well. The hidden dragon abyss was also the place with the most secret treasures containing dragon souls. That's not right. This place is a treasure land. Even if it is far from the Tianwu domain, the three holy masters would not blame you for giving it up for nothing. Ao Jiao said in confusion as she stared at the map for a long time. Xiaoqin took back the map and entered deep thought. This made sense. This time, he embarrassed the three holy masters greatly. How could they let him off so easily? Since the king title was already decided, the Thunder King would not come out of closed-door cultivation so easily. He would definitely not ask about the conferred land. This was a good opportunity for the three holy masters to do something. Should I ask first senior sister? Perhaps she would have some information. Xiaoqin, can I come in? Just as Xiaoqin was thinking about Shui Lingling, first senior sister knocked on the door. Xiaoqin could not help but smile faintly. Then, he got Ao Jiao to open the door. This was the first time Shui Lingling saw Ao Jiao. It was hard for her to not be startled. She looked at Xiaoqin with a complicated expression. Clearly, she had not expected Xiaoqin to have a girl by his side. Furthermore, it was such a pretty girl with a fiery figure. It was hard for her to not get the wrong idea when a man and a woman were alone. After Xiaoqin explained, the other party understood. Then, she asked about her doubts. Shui Lingling received the map and gave it a few glances. After thinking for a while, she said, "This place is in the west of the heavenly starry ocean. That is the most chaotic sea region of the heavenly starry ocean. It is not like the other directions, where there are overlords like the Northern Sea Alliance and Zodiac Hall. However, if that is all, it should not be a big problem. I feel that there are other hidden dangers. I will only know the details when I go there." Shui Lingling was not sure either, so she did not think about it for now. "I am here to inform you of something. Master just returned from meeting the Thunder King. He wants to meet you now, Shui Lingling said with a smile as she returned the map. Ingzongtian was the newly advanced prime of the Kunlun continent. He had brought the saber sword two sovereigns to Tianwu City to help Shaoqin chase away Emperor Forsaken's group. Logically speaking, Shaoqin should meet him. At the bow of the warship, Shaoqin saw Ingzongtian, who had been waiting for him for a long time. The other party wore blue robes and looked very carefree. He did not give off any emperor's might. Ingzongtian turned around and smiled. Ha! Congratulations on being conferred king. I have seen all the hardships you faced along the way. Shaoqin could not help feeling somewhat embarrassed. Sect Master's conferment of king is the true conferment of king. Once one becomes a king, one becomes a prime. In the later martial epoch, only Sect Master can do that. Upon hearing Shaoqian's words, Ingzongtian did not show any elation. Instead, he appeared very desolate. He smiled bitterly and said, "What is there to be happy about? This is as far as I can go in this life. After working hard for 1,000 years, I still succumb to the heavenly Tao. Your king title is much more important than mine." The three words Blue Dragon King represent a kind of luck. Just look at how anxious Emperor Forsaken and the other two are. Shaoqin smiled but did not dare to reply. After you recover from your injuries, leave the Haotian sect. Ingzongtian suddenly said after thinking for a while. Shaoqian's expression changed slightly. Sect Master, what do you mean by that? Naturally, it is to let you out. My Haotian sect cannot keep you here. Now that you have your own conferred land, you can do whatever you want. If you need anything, you can go and look for Lingling at any time. Shaoqin showed doubt on his face, feeling extremely confused. Ingzongtian's elegant face seemed to be able to see through everything. He smiled and said, "I know what you are wondering about. You are wondering what I want from you and what I want from you." That was right. This was exactly what Shaoqin was wondering about. Everything in the world revolved around benefits. Without sufficient benefits, why would Ingzongtian help him for no reason? Shaoqin had helped Shaoqin too much, be it in the open or in the dark. Many times, if not for this martial emperor behind Shaoqin, Shaoqin would have died a miserable death. From ancient times until now, every outstanding talent has their own Tao protector. I am your Tao protector. My desires are different from the others. The Fox King did it because the fiend domain is declining. He wanted to use his adopted daughter to build a connection with you. The Saber Sword two sovereigns did it because of the impending demonic calamity and did not want any internal strife. The Thunder King did it because of a promise. As for me, I only have one wish. If one day, you surpass my current cultivation, tell me if there is a martial god after Prime. Was there a martial god after Prime? Even someone as strong as Ingzongtian did not know if there was a martial god in this world. Shaoqin could not help smiling. Is there really no martial god? Ingzongtian smiled and said, there should be. However, no one in this world has ever seen a martial god. There are no accurate records, only some groundless rumors. They are not very convincing. At least, I do not believe them. Sect Master, you are an outstanding talent, yet you are unable to break through to Martial Emperor. Why do you believe that I can? Shaoqin asked, feeling confused. Ingzongtian thought for a while and smiled. Is it because you are the descendant of the Qing Emperor? Is it because of the name Qing Emperor? No matter how strong the Qing Emperor was, he still died in the end, Shaoqin said somewhat helplessly. Ingzongtian smiled but did not reply. After a long time, he handed Shaoqin a bottle of medicinal pills. 10 heavenly essence pills, king-grade medicinal pills. Given your physique, you should be able to recover faster from your injuries after consuming these medicinal pills. Consider it a small congratulatory gift from me. Shaoqin opened the bottle and took a whiff of the medicinal fragrance. Then, he swallowed one medicinal pill on the spot. His internal organs immediately felt refreshed. His damaged cells and ruptured meridians recovered at a rapid pace. It was not as easy as Ing Zongtian had described. Where is the conferred land that Bushin Palace gave you? Heavenly Star Island. When Ing Zongtian heard the name Heavenly Star Island, he thought for a while before smiling. Heavenly Star Island, that is really far away. That place is very chaotic. How about I send a Supreme Elder there? The Supreme Elders of the Haotian sect were all at least as strong as the blue-robed Emperor. There were even some old antiques with the cultivation of Emperor Wu. Unless the sect faced a great calamity, they would normally be in bitter cultivation. Many thanks, Sect Master. Shao Chen rejoiced in his heart. He did not know what strange existences existed on Heavenly Star Island. If he had a blue-robed emperor to help him, it would be much better. Ing Zongtian shook his head and smiled. You are no longer a member of my Haotian sect. If you do not mind, you can call me Big Brother Ing. In that case, many thanks, Big Brother Ing. In the future, if Shao Chen is fortunate enough to break through to Prime, I will definitely repay this kindness. At first, Shao Chen was startled. This was a great advantage for him to recognize his big brother. However, he was a free and easy person. Furthermore, Ing Zongtian was clearly not one of those stubborn experts who clung to seniority. Hence, he did not have any misgivings. Alright, I'll wait for you. A light flashed in Ing Zongtian's eyes as he threw a palm strike at Shao Chen. Shao Chen took advantage of the momentum and threw a palm strike as well. This was a promise between men. One day, they would understand whether there really were martial gods in the world. Unexpectedly, Ing Zongtian is such a stubborn and pure person. Back then, he stubbornly stood behind you just for this reason.